The tavern's always open.
And we can start. Yeah. I can say Indycar race happened. And yeah. I mean, willpower. Oh wait, how did the willpower finish the race? Oh my god, he did finish up there. Yeah, the whole race. Scott McLaughlin, willpower in the top. And when you thought, oh, maybe they will not end in the top, or no, they did end in the top. Like we can see here. It's like the nice fun race. The only positive is Linus Lundqvist finished P3, and this finished Rosenqvist P4. So this is the only thing that you can say is mostly fun. Also, this race was a lot of stuff happened that still led to nothing. It's like 15 different plot twists, and still it ended up with just one thing. I mean, the only plot twist Houston Newgarden was even worse in the race than in qualifying. And Pato Ward had the same race. So they tried to how to do such a bad race without crashing or crashing out. I think Pato Ward have been done some crashing. But before more of the IndyCar stuff, more important stuff, fucking Formula 1. Let's see. Here we have it. So, it's soon Miami. Let's see, how many days is it left for Miami? Give me. So in 3 days you can say the practice starts, but the race is in 5 days. You can say in this weekend. Wait, what? Oh shit, I not fixed. Oh. Wait. Can we fix it now? Give me that. We have it. Oh shit, what was the quest? Play cards. No. Use here. Okay. Oh shit, I'm done with this. Yay, hero skin! Okay, what was the quest again? Okay, I need to somehow win one more game. That will probably never happen. Oh, this we need to remove. Okay, so hero power. Fuck me. What class will I use most hero powers in? I will play Paladin. Hopefully it will be enough hero powers. But yeah, Miami Grand Prix. And it's fucking sprint race. And man. 2 in a row. Who wants that? I mean, how to make Miami even more bad? Yeah, make it to a sprint race also.
I will fight with honor.
Yeah, so it will just be one practice, then the sprint qualifying, then the sprint race, then the qualifying, and then the race. And yeah, let's see if they have new information. Let's see, have something even happened? Okay, they want to talk at the sprint format. Does it work? I mean, it worked better than the last year. Oh shit, it's the one... oh, what's it called? The privileged guy, I think this guy is. The privileged... oh, fuck yeah. The privilege to comment on Formula 1. The privilege to get jet lagged when flying airplane to every race. Midfield. Oh, and the new stuff. Audi. Okay, so Nicky Hulkenberg stuff. Oh, McLaren race. And the win for McLaren. A blue Ferrari incoming. I mean, this could maybe happen, but in the definition, the paint maybe some blue, and that is the definition of a blue Ferrari. But hey, oh, so loud. Ah, first hero power.
So, after a 2-week break, Formula 1 makes the first of 3 trips to the United States for the Miami Grand Prix. If we cast our minds back to last year, Max Verstappen fought his way from 9th on the grid.
Man, it could be a victory for Perez. I don't know if this was the race, but one race. Oh, it was the Saudi Arabia, I think. If he got the fastest lap, he would lead the championship. But Max took it. And this was maybe the race that he can maybe... Hey, I can maybe look that up. Let's see. I need to do my turn.
For justice.
Sure. Where do we have it? History of... what results? Archive. Okay. I don't know if we can do this, but let's see. I wanna see... No, I will not see that. Oh, wait. I was looking for what was after... Okay, ma'am. Okay, Azerbaijan. Wait, Azerbaijan... He won that race.
Let me think.
Didn't he have a really bad Australia race? Or maybe that's ruined it. Australia. It was after Saudi Arabia. Then a win in Azerbaijan. And then it could be no win in Miami, but it wasn't.
To win the race in a performance that arguably shattered Sergio Perez's championship dreams for 2023. And the question is, will it be more of the same this year? Having made its calendar debut in 20...
Not equally bad. Now Max will probably be already P1 in the start and Perez P2. So not a same fist banner moment.
2022, the 19-turn 5.4 kilometre track is the first of 3 races, as mentioned, held in the...
Let's see, do I recognize this track? Here I think Norris...
Let me
Was it Norris and Gasly crashed in together? Gasly get out outside the track and then try to come in, and then Norris caught him, and then they... well, Norris crashed. Gasly carried on with one less wheel, I think. Yeah.
United States. The track features 3 DRS zones and, like the previous round in China, will host another of this season's sprint races.
Yeah, super great. One on the sprint race. Yeah. The fuck? Wait, did that have rush? Oh my god, what a misplay.
Before we
If
crack
it
on with
had
the
rush.
preview though, let's take a moment to refresh ourselves with the championship standings. So after the first...
Yeah. I don't think nobody will remember Max Verstappen leading the championship. Maybe that Perez is still P2, maybe could be news. If Norris just makes some more good races and Perez do a lot more worse, then my prediction that Max Verstappen, then Charles Leclerc and Norris will be right. Alonso need to do some better races.
First 5 rounds of the Formula 1 Championship, Max Verstappen leads the way with 110 points, followed by teammate Sergio Perez. The Ferrari boys are just behind, with Charles Leclerc leading Carlos Sainz. And
where do we have Mercedes? Yeah, or Lewis Hamilton, P9 with 19 points. I mean, can you... Yeah, it must be the worst season start ever. And it will probably continue. Remember, the whole season will be end up being the worst season he have ever had.
the McLaren's just behind, with Lando Norris leading Oscar Piastri. George Russell is in 7th, followed by Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton and Lance Stroll closing out the top 10. In 11th, we have Yuki Tsunoda, and in 12th, Ollie Behrman. In 13th and 14th...
See, Alonso, Stroll, That would be funny if Stroll succeed to make such a good race that he overtakes Lewis Hamilton. Then you can really say Lewis Hamilton must be really washed if Stroll can overtake him in points. And hopefully no more points for Haas, and more points to Yuki Tsunoda, Williams, and more or less Alex Albon and Ricciardo. Maybe 1 point to Guanyu Yu.
Both the Haas boys, with Nico Hulkenberg leading Kevin Magnussen. The rest of the drivers are yet to score, but could this be the weekend?
Could it be?
Leading the Constructors' Championship is Red Bull Racing, no surprises there, and their closest challengers are the Ferrari in 2nd.
Oh my god, it's almost like Mercedes vs Ferrari. Maybe 2017, 2018. Close enough to maybe do something, but not close enough to actually do something. And this must be, 52 points. The future for Mercedes is really bright.
McLaren are a little bit further back ahead of the Mercedes and Aston Martin, who are closely grouped together. In 6th and 7th is RB and Haas, and the last 3 teams, Williams, Alpine and Sauber, are yet to score. I am Steph Wentworth, and joining me to preview the Miami Grand Prix is Jake Boxall-Legg and Hayden Cobb. Welcome to...
the privileged... Or maybe the other guy is the privileged guy. Some of them use the privilege really a lot. So...
You
I think...
both, how is it?
Yeah. Let's see if I can... Yeah, that guy, I think, is the privileged guy.
Going this wonderful morning.
Oh, very good, thank you.
The privilege to watch... Man, what the fuck was that? Formula... Oh yeah, Formula 1 didn't do anything about fucking the new stuff. The fuck is called Formula A... Oh my god, fucking... do we have so I can find it? Yeah, fucking the new stuff with the car, self-driving Formula 1 car. Man, nobody cares. Not even Formula 1.
Miami was very, very fun last year. I was lucky enough to go. And some...
Yeah, you had the privilege to go.
A little bit sad to be kind of sitting it out this time. No more JP's bagels.
Yeah, no more privilege for this guy.
Visits or anything like that. But yeah, it was good fun. Maybe it'll be a slightly different experience this year.
Yeah, and I've obviously never been to Miami, given its recency on the track.
Oh my god, it doesn't have the privilege to be there.
It looks a fun one from afar. It certainly looks more fun being there. The fans, the drivers, the media seem to have a great time there. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Yes, it's quite an exciting one. It's only the 3rd Miami Grand Prix race that we've ever had. But, you know, with it being the 3rd, we've had a couple of races. I think we can safely add our 2 cents on the track. What are you kind of expecting? Are you looking forward to the race weekend, JBL?
Add time, 10 more seconds. Come on. Also, why some ads without sound? So weird.
I think a little bit less than last year. Again, getting to go, it's a very different experience. There's a lot of bluster about the event, let's say. There's a lot, you know, you'll go there, there's a lot of kind of like American sports stars and things like that.
I've seen the American sport, or at least the Indycar. And oh my god, there's nothing to celebrate.
The fact that the kind of paddock was in the middle of the Hard Rock Stadium, that's, you know, very, very unique as well. I think from what I'd heard about the race the first time around in 2022, it sounds like things were massively improved last season. It was really good fun to go and cover. But let's say, and I'm sure we'll get onto this in a little bit, the race was not particularly multi-dimensional, as you said.
It was a lot. I mean, Max Verstappen, what did it say? Started P9 and then won the race. Isn't that the most amazing thing you can ever watch?
At the top of the show, it was the point where, when we were hoping Sergio Perez might be able to give Max Verstappen a run for his money, his hopes were absolutely shattered at that point.
True.
And that began a run of some pretty poor results, to be honest. So I'm not especially hopeful about the race, but again, it'll be a fun weekend, and if you like, you know, star spotting and that kind of thing, then it's probably the one for you.
Well, yeah, it will definitely bring the glitz and glamour. It is another sprint race weekend, and based on what we saw kind of during the Chinese Grand Prix sprint, do you think, Hayden, that the changes will help or hinder the race on Sunday?
I would say help, but sprint race is still shit, so... I mean, why improve it when you can just remove it?
I think going on what we saw in China, it'll probably end up hindering because, as we've seen even before the changes for this year, the drivers and the teams can learn from what they picked up from the sprint race, whether it's tyre deg, whether it's the stints of what the tyres they use as well.
Yeah, look in Mercedes. They learned and they made the car worse. Doesn't that show that the format 100%
You could not stop
they say it's working?
You will not
People can't, well, they don't know how to improve the car.
fight with honor.
Maybe they just Mercedes, but
Well,
yeah.
and carry that forward into the race. So, it make up for any mistakes that are potentially made.
Yeah, like Mercedes.
To its credit, the China sprint race I thought was exciting, was compelling.
I actually no. It would have been exciting if Carlos Sainz succeeded to get past Alonso much faster. Or even actually got past him. Then Perez and Charles Leclerc could maybe catch up with Lewis Hamilton. But no, it was a dearest strain
I wonder.
that didn't do anything.
Not that many people saw it, given the time zone it was on at 4 a.m. for the UK audience.
Yeah, the UK fucked them.
But on the flip side, a sprint race in Miami this weekend should therefore suit a European and, of course, US audience, given the...
Also, if it's so early, just stay up. No need to go to sleep. Just stay up for 10 hours or 8. Then you watch it live. Super easy.
time zone strange. So, yes, I think Saturday is going to be an exciting day for Miami. Whether Sunday we're able to live up to that hype quite as much is a bit of a tricky one. From just going purely from China with the sort of two Parc Fermes situation, teams generally were able to learn from.
Yeah, Mercedes, show them. Oh my God, isn't they also Lewis Hamilton? Yeah, 44. Yeah, they can improve, and they showed Lewis Hamilton.
From their mistakes, let's say.
Yeah, you should say everyone can improve except Mercedes on Lewis Hamilton's side. Then they can't.
Going into the sprint and make setup tweaks to refine their cars and generally have a smoother things in it.
Yeah, McLaren could. I think they did.
In the Grand Prix.
Oh my God, McLaren can make the car better, not Mercedes.
I think Mercedes were probably only standouts because they
Yeah. Oh my God, they're top team.
changed setup quite dramatically and split it between the two cars. And if anything, they
Fuck is this?
took a step backwards during the Grand Prix. Now, granted, there's various factors involved. If you look at Lewis Hamilton's race, obviously starting from so far back, but overall, you would say they probably also learned their lessons not to be quite so aggressive going through.
Yeah, and next time they will maybe... Wait, learn? Don't people still say Mercedes have learned how the car works, so now they can make actually race winning car? I mean, it's... What can you say? 2022, that 1 year. 2023 and now 2024, so 3 years. So will it be the 4th years Mercedes will make a car that can win a race?
Sprint to Grand Prix, they may be a bit more aggressive.
Without this sprint race stuff that happened in Brazil. I mean, then it wouldn't be a win for Mercedes.
Single practice into the sprint and learning from basically from there on out.
And JVL, it's kind of back-to-back sprint weekend. I know we've had a bit of a break in Formula One, but the last round we did was China, and we had the sprint race there.
Stuff.
Do you think Miami is a good choice for this sprint format? How do you reckon it will kind of play out?
It feels like we're kind of going through constant chopping and changing of working out which tracks are good for sprints and which tracks aren't. And we've had Brazil since season 1, and that was all right. So they've stuck with it. Austria has been all right. Everything else hasn't really worked.
wouldn't say any sprint race have worked. But sure.
Don't really know, because if I'm honest, what are we judging sprints on? I think probably
It's how the sprint ends, not how the actual race is.
the way obviously the spectacle, the way it kind of sets things up for the race as well. Given the races over 2022 and 2023 haven't been particularly, let's say, they haven't been all-time classics, let's say.
I wonder why, because maybe they were never good in the first place.
It's kind of hard to see the sprint being anything beyond that, but again, it might be the case that
Fuck me.
if someone's going to risk a set of soft tires and try something crazy, it might just work. But it's kind of hard to see given the nature of the races over the past couple of years.
And on that topic of soft tyres, Hayden, do you reckon you could talk us through the tyre compounds that we're bringing to from Pirelli this weekend? Because it's, I'd say, quite a dramatic change in conditions and track expectations from Shanghai a couple of weeks ago.
That's right. It should be much hotter, much more humid than China was, but it's the same.
Is it that Mercedes are really bad at? When it's really warm or hot outside. So bad race for Mercedes then?
Same compound set, yes. Softs, C4, medium C3 and hard C2. And obviously we also assumed the track surface itself to be very different from China, given that China was such a huge unknown with the treatment that they'd done to the track before anyone had got to the circuit, knowing that had happened. Going on last year's data and running, let's say, so they've stuck with the same range of compounds compared to last year, and it was notable that
fuck me, have they fixed the rain tires now? Was it last year when they should have already been done? Or was it the year even before that? Have all talk about the rain tires vanished because there's no more rain?
Soft would only really be good for 1 or 2 laps, like qualifying for sure, a really useful tyre, but then going into the Grand Prix, those that started on it were off it after 4 or 5 laps because it's just giving up the ghost and falling off that cliff, whereas hards were good for 50 laps or good for a lot of the stint. Everyone largely stuck to the one stopper, which should be the case, assuming obviously we don't factor in any sort of safety cars or undue weather. But yeah, I would largely assume the Grand Prix will be a fairly fail-safe one-stopper, starting on the mediums, going to the hards. The sprint will be the one where you ask the question, because is anyone sensible or brave enough, depending on your disposition, to go for a soft tyre in the sprint?
Remember Mercedes? The only way they can actually improve the car.
It sort of worked going back to China. It sort of worked for those that did it in the sprint, but it's hard.
Maybe not for Lewis Hamilton. He don't like the soft tires.
It's hard to know because it always gets to that sort of last 4 or 5 laps of your sprint race, and then the tyre life is fading. Those that have mediums that will be direct behind just come charging through. So I think in terms of the tyre compounds, it'll be one to keep an eye out for the sprint, but I think the Grand Prix will be a fairly straightforward encounter.
And it will be interesting to see how strategy makes up the race and whether different strategies will start to play a part. What can we kind of expect from the pit stop strategies in the race, JBL? Are we going?
Maybe a bad pit stop by Sauber. Probably that. Or if they succeed, maybe just China celebrate if they do a good pit stop, or the Chinese people.
Going to see a 1-stopper, 2-stopper. What are we looking for?
I'm going to base it off last year, and unfortunately, and as we all know, more stops equals more variance equals more fun. It looks like it's going to be a set of 1-stoppers, but that is taking into account if people are going for just a simple medium-hard strategy, or starting off with softs and going through from hards to the end of the race. What we might get is, it kind of depends on how much humidity we get. It depends on whether we're going to get this very, very sunny Miami weather, which we should be able to do. But if it's hot, then we're going to get more thermal day, particularly if the track is very, very high temperature. It's also very traction limited as well, so the rears are going to be going away earlier than the fronts, so it might get to a
So even worse for Mercedes. It's hot and the tires will go way fast.
point where we might enter two-stop territory. Let's wait and see on that. We'll see if anybody takes a bit of a gamble. But yeah, just based on the last couple of years, probably a one-stopper, but there's probably room for two somewhere.
We can skip it.
Somewhere in there, potentially there could be a safety car. But just on the topic of variables in the race, who do we think the track is most suited to? Obviously,
Really?
Red Bull had quite the
Oh, shit,
commanding
I can't
lead
read
last
that.
year. Are we going to say that they're probably
Oh, fuck me.
going to be far ahead of the field again?
Yeah, I would say let's take them out of the equation for the starters of what the information we have now from previous
shit,
races
misplay.
this season, and obviously Miami Grand Prix just gone, is Red Bull will be ahead of the field and should be fairly comfortable. All things
Where would Mercedes be? I need that information.
being well.
Oh shit, they maybe will be in the midfield.
How do you decide the rest of the order from after that is
such
probably the
misplay.
hardest question going into this weekend. Look at China, for example. McLaren were, as they often have done, played down expectations. Didn't say the car. They didn't feel the car suited the circuit and the sort of corner characteristics, and many did believe that Ferrari themselves thought they would be the sort of best behind Red Bull, and when it came to the Grand Prix, they just missed out to Lando Norris in the McLaren. So arguably, you could say, there's arguments for
Så Red Bull, Red Bull först. McLaren, Ferrari, P2. Eller second best. Yeah, what can you call it? Yeah, they're second place together. And then Alonso, then Mercedes.
I'd say Ferrari being still that next behind Red Bull, but I don't think you can rule out anyone like a McLaren or an Aston Martin or even Mercedes, who also
Yeah, true, Mercedes. Don't forget them. The Mercedes. You need to mention them. They're so good.
are bringing some upgrades. So yeah, it's a really tough one to call because there's so many factors involved. Which we just talked
Yeah,
about.
they could be about Mercedes. I mean, if you skip that, then you have one less team to think about.
Tyres, how they behave with them, the circuit characteristics, the weather, given the inherent strengths and weaknesses of each team's cars, and then of course the upgrades that are coming that could sway it. And it's Fred Vasseur himself has said that, and I think largely that pack agrees with this, is there's about a tenth or even less than that in terms of outright performance between those sort of Ferrari, Aston, McLaren, Mercedes pack, and just a simple upgrade that gives you half a tenth there, you suddenly go from that fifth fastest to the second fastest. So yeah, we could say here and now Ferrari will be the quickest just behind Red Bull, but if everyone gets a jump on them and things swing away from Ferrari, they could end up being fifth fastest.
And we talked kind of about the faster cars, the ones that are just behind Red Bull. What about behind that, JBL? Haas have, been running fairly well, the RBs as well. What are the potential for, the midfield cars or the cars towards the back to do well this track?
We've got a bit of a mixed bag because we've got RB coming in with a few upgrades, so that should perhaps give them a couple of tenths. We had Haas's upgrades last weekend, it seemed to work very, very well. Which is a stark contrast to last year where they waited until Austin to bring their upgrades. None of them worked. This year looks like a complete reversal of that. So Haas looks in a good place and it should have,
That I really don't know. Haas shouldn't
got
have a
another
good
practice
race.
session, another sprint weekend to kind of...
Oh my god. Both cars I got removed is Big Game Hunter. Interesting.
unlock a little bit more from that car. And both Alpines are going to have the new upgrades as well. So just a
More upgrades for the Alpine. Will that actually make the car better or not?
Van Ocon had that in China. Pierre Gasly's going to get the lighter car this weekend.
Oh shit, yeah. Okay, so Alpine will not get better. Gasly will get the improvement car.
He reckons he should be able to do a decent job with. I think he only was behind Esteban Ocon by about 0.2 seconds last weekend. And he was sort of like trying not to be a little bit smug about it, because he was like, well, you know, if I had the new car, I'd be ahead and that kind of thing. So that battle is still very much on amongst the Alpines. So it's closing up, I think. Alpine's not the kind of, let's say, comedy team that it was at the start of the season.
Or it still is.
We're just waiting on Williams to... Well, Williams should have its spare chassis this weekend. Whether it's been able to get any upgrades alongside that, or whether it's have to put them to one side, we'll have to wait and see a little bit. But it is closing out that pack. We've got this sort of good battle between RB and Haas, I think, at the front of that, and then the other three sort of battling here and there. So I'm not 100% sure about the order. I think RB will probably be ahead of that order, but you can never discount the others.
Exactly, we'll just have to wait and see. But in other news, moving away from kind of the on-track action, this week in Formula One has been very busy with lots of news coming out and silly season really taking full force. We touched up on it a little bit, JBL and I, last week, but the Red Bull saga continues with Adrian Newey being set to leave Red Bull. We have it on good authority that there is a lot of truth to this rumour. What are the comments coming out of Red Bull? Because they're contrasting a little bit with what we've heard, JBL.
Yeah, it's basically trying to play down everything. And as you obviously would if you were, you know, in charge of the kind of PR of that team, obviously the fact that a figurehead is set to walk out the exit door, that's something you kind of want to mitigate a little bit. And the discussion is basically that Newey has discussed concerns, but he is contracted until the end of 2025. So this depends on what he's going to do next, whether he's going to try and get himself out of his contract early, whether he just basically rides it out until 2025, which means he'll have sort of some input on the 2026 regulations. But it's probably better for both parties that if this is the way, then he'll take a long period of gardening leave. Does he retire after that? Does he go to another team? He won't be able to join another team until 2027 at the start of 2027 at the earliest. So,
I mean, wouldn't that be amazing? Max Verstappen and Andy Newey, Jones Williams, to make them great again.
There's kind of a lot of back and forth. The fact that we've got Newey wanting to leave and Red Bull basically sharing terms and conditions, let's say, of his contract. So it'd be interesting to see what the next step is here, because this is certainly something that's not over.
Oh, absolutely. And we will keep you updated as more on this story is shared throughout the rest of the year. Another signing that we saw was that Audi have dipped into the driver market. They have signed the German Nico Hülkenberg.
Yep. And I mean, after that, I feel like Carlos Sainz will be next. And I mean, the lineup I would say is the greatest of all time. But most likely good enough so they can at least be with the top teams.
He's spoken with us and he said that the prospect of competing for Audi is something very special. To represent the factory team of such a car brand with a power unit made in Germany is a great honour for me. So as you can see, there's a lot of pride there and excited to see him driving for a German outfit. Hayden, what are your thoughts on this?
It's a sense of...
Yeah, but we are done with this account. Let's see, we should... go like that. Yeah, and here we can also change for more relevant information. Maybe it shouldn't be there. Oh shit. Change account. And hopefully this will go by fast, so collecting fishes will start soon. Yeah, okay,
Visible
continue.
Signing. It's probably not the most exciting of signings, but I guess if you're Audi, what are you looking for from one of your drivers who clearly made the push for this decision? Is a safe pair of hands and an experienced pair of hands. Now, in Nico Hulkenberg, you have that in abundance. He's granted he's never had that opportunity with, say, a top team, and who knows, maybe this becomes that shot. If Audi absolutely nail those engine regs, then who knows? But at least in terms of
Death Knight, better criminals, play 20 cards. Remove. Okay, time to play some Death Knight.
where Audi will expect themselves to be and where they aim to go, Hulkenberg will have
Oh shit, we need to look this up. I believe I can't find it. That, and then we go here. And then we try to find a match I did with the Death Knight. Nope, it will not be. I should go in the other way. Death Knight, can I find? Oh, there we have it, maybe. That was a Death Knight match. Because after every Death Knight match I do a print screen. Because man, that's amazing to see how long time it takes to first win a race. And then how many more races is more needed. I mean, I'm at 100 wins now. So far off to 500. Oh my god, fuck me, come on. Me. Oh wait. Okay, 100. Okay, now we found it. Yeah, I took a print screen of that. So now we can play.
experience, the knowledge of other teams, of the current engine rules, and generally going forward to the transition of what they'll be needing to do. And yeah, that connection with the brand, he's had that previously, and I think that generally it will put them in good stead. It will, I guess, the interesting bit, which to give some credit to it, is what happens with the other spot in the team. Now we know that they seem fairly interested in getting Carlos Sainz's services, given he's out of contracting out of Ferrari at the end of this year.
True.
But then that lays up what happens with the likes of Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu. They, at least one of them, seemed fairly certain that they would be hanging around for this transition
Yeah, but probably not. It's probably a lot of copium.
period. But let's say if Sainz does end up going to Audi, then they're both out of a gig, and where do they go in this silly season rotated? So, yeah, one.
With Jürgen Jo's maybe Chinese money, he could maybe get a spot, hopefully.
One question answered, and then it's just thrown up about 2 or 3 others. So that's sort of the joy of this silly season at the moment.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh no. Go away. Add. Man. Ads ruin every fun stuff. Oh shit. Oh my god, we maybe should play it. It's Audi ad. After they're talking about Audi, then we have an Audi ad. Let's see. Audi. Ursprung Deutsch Technik. Okay, then a boring ad.
There is no expectations. We're just enjoying the ride, should we say. But we're on the 6th round of the championship right now, which...
Oh no, that was a bad timing for Audi. They should have started before the Audi talk, not after the Audi talk. It's McLaren now.
Only the 6th. I feel like there's been many more. But we've started to see teams bring more upgrades, as you've both alluded to. There are many upgrades coming in for the Miami Grand Prix this weekend. Talking about McLaren, they've said this upgrade will not be as big as the 2 that we had delivered last year in Austria and Singapore, but it should be a decent step, said team principal Andre.
Oh, so it will maybe top 2 team now.
Stella. It should be noticeable though. JBL, what do we kind of make of that? If we're talking about McLaren being up there in fighting for, the 2nd position behind Red Bull, if their upgrades aren't as great, could it be that,
Nope.
Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston may be in with more of a chance?
Oh wait. Did I do a misplay? Maybe. Oh, let's see what I can do.
I think it's more of the fact that the team had to make such big strides last season because it was towards the back and it had to basically
Yeah, they actually did something that Mercedes probably would never succeed to do. A good car.
tack on a massive upgrade package in Austria to actually get something out of the car. It's now starting the season in a much better position. It doesn't have to go through that. It doesn't have to go through
The bot trade. Do enough damage to kill it, but not enough. The fuck is this? Ooh. No. So much better play. Oh, can I remember win
basically
this?
trying to dig something out of the year. So I think the magnitude's not quite as big, but it doesn't have to do quite as much to reach the front. So it's not going to be of that.
No, they only need to be better than Ferrari. Then I already secured the one of the top 4 places.
But there should still be quite a lot of bits on that car. We don't know what they are yet, and we won't find out until Thursday or Friday. But there should be a few tweaks to, not only consolidate McLaren's position in that sort of top 3, top 4, but push forward as well, start challenging Ferrari for 2nd, because I think that's the main rival. I don't think Mercedes are sort of in it at the moment, and I don't think Aston Martin are either. I think it's very.
Wait, did you say Mercedes?
Because I think that's the main rival. I don't think Mercedes are sort of.
What? What do you mean with that? Surely Mercedes will be in the top teams.
in it at the moment, and I don't think Aston Martin are either. I think it's very much game on between McLaren and Ferrari.
Game on indeed. And moving on to Ferrari, as you mentioned, they announced a new sponsor last week, with HP becoming the title sponsor.
Oh yeah, fucking the... I mean, will they? I mean, they did... Oh, what was it? The yellow... Yeah, what year was that? Where do we have it? Okay. Yellow Ferrari. Yeah, I've got yellow Ferrari. I want a F1. Yeah, if you look. I mean, this is how much yellow they did when I did this yellow. I mean, this would be amazing if they actually did. But yeah, it was just yellow, some yellow. So probably this is how much blue it will also be. Man, when I can, I mean, this would be so cool. 100% yellow car. But nope. Not fun stuff from Ferrari.
But the team have also teased a very special livery for the Miami Grand Prix. Hayden, what's kind of the story behind this? Because there is a bit of history there, isn't there?
That's right. Ferrari are turning blue, which sounds almost sacrilegious when you think of Ferrari and obviously they're scarlet red. But it has been seen before. It is actually a mark back to their heritage and their history in the US racing scene as Ferrari, going back 60 years in fact, of when they sort of made the breakthrough, and the cars that were run by the customer teams there, they ran in sort of the blues of an Argentina and a darker shade of blue to match with the heritage of the team.
Yeah, this would be amazing if they actually do that. But will they? Maybe not.
Through that period. So we're going to see a lot of like a throwback look.
Yeah, but how much? I mean, if you look at the cars now, 50% is black. So how much blue will it actually be on the Ferrari?
To really amplify and celebrate Ferrari's history racing in.
Yeah, the history, like I showed. Here we have the history when I did the yellow thing. And how much yellow is that? Almost none. It's not like this. 100% yellow. Yeah, this looks like a 2024 car. 50% black. But so much blue, I don't think it will ever happen.
Formula One and sports cars. Yeah, as you said, we've been shown what the race suits will look like, and I think that was...
Yeah, and the race suit they had was 100% yellow, but not the car.
They a tribute, let's say, to the likes that when John Surtees and Chris Amon were racing in the 60s, wearing that sort of blue look, and the mechanics, Enzo Ferrari have often liked his mechanics wearing that sort of lighter shade of blue, and it obviously brings a nice contrast to the red. So we know what the race suits look like. Will it mirror it exactly like that, or will it be a bit of a darker blue? It can't be certain until we see it in Miami, and they will present it ahead of the race weekend. But yeah, expect it to look very, very different. And of course,
very different. I mean, the race clothes, yes, not the car.
I don't necessarily think these two things are 100% connected, but it is a handy tie-in of, obviously, like I said, with the HP title sponsorship. Their colours are blue and white, so it works out quite well for all involved. I'm sure their prominence will be very clear as well. So it ticks a marketing box, it ticks a sponsorship box for Ferrari, and yeah, in terms of really trying to make a mark in this race and make a mark in the US market, that is what Ferrari have gone for, and I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Absolutely, it's perfect timing. I'm also very excited to see that, and I'm sure it will go down in the history books.
Yeah. I mean, I saw what it will probably be, but not. I mean, it will probably go down like the. Like this. That they did something different. But not enough that you will actually. Yeah. The yellow Ferrari. That happened that year. No, it would be just some yellow.
Let us know in the comments which throwback liveries you'd like to see throughout the rest of the season. But guys,
McLarens and Williams. That would be nice.
JVL, Hayden, I would like to thank you very much for your time today, and I would like to remind
blue, yellow, and whatever color it was for Williams, and I mean, it was red, but it looked really orange. But the red and white from McLaren.
And everyone watching and listening that sprint qualifying is on a Friday and the sprint is on the Saturday morning, just as we get used to this brand new format. Remember, if you've enjoyed what you've seen today, please subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all of our coverage of the F1 2024 season. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, sure, let's go away with that. Let's see, they mentioned they did mention Andrew Newey, so we could keep the stuff and see what P1 have to say about Andrew Newey to leave Red Bull. What next?
I'll find the answer.
Yeah, what's next is maybe a great holiday for Andrew Newey.
Aidan Newey to leave Red Bull. What next?
And he maybe done Young's Williams. Maybe.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the P1 podcast with Matt and Tommy. Or should I rephrase it? The Ferrari P1 podcast, because Adrian Newey is going to go there soon because he can't retire. He won't retire. He cannot. He's not allowed. As a despairing Ferrari fan. Come on, Adrian.
Sure.
Come on over. But this is what is being reported, Tommy, that Adrian is done. He's packing his bags. He's leaving Red Bull, and we.
Yeah, but when? Do say it.
We only need one.
Red Bull wants to release statement confirming the finish start. Yeah. So still doesn't say when he will leave. Just that he will maybe leave.
We now need to talk about what's going to happen next.
Indeed, another twist in the craziest silly season ever. It's not even just the drivers now. We're having like massive key personnel moving, and Adrian Newey is obviously such an important part of Formula One because he's won, well, many championships with lots of different teams. So yeah, it's a huge story.
He has his career. Let's talk about it quickly. In 1980,
But something will be amazing if he joins McLaren and then succeed to make a car that Piastri and Norris can start winning.
He worked for Fittipaldi as an automotive designer. Then 1987 to 1989, he was the chief designer at March. Then 1990, Leighton House Racing as technical director. Then 91 to 96 at Williams as chief designer. Then 97 to 2005 with McLaren as technical director. And then he's been with Red Bull since 2006. And he has been designer of no less than 12 World Constructors' Championship winning cars. So he's got the CV to really cash in at this stage, if I'm being completely honest with you. Like, I know my man is like,
Man, can it die? I mean, I could.
You pest.
sure. But I really need healing.
What, 65 years old? But I reckon...
Yeah, maybe time for actually a super long holiday. To be with family.
Look, let's make it a round number. Let's go to 70. Let's get Ferrari a few world championships.
5 more Ferrari titles.
Well, not really, because he'll have to respect some gardening leave, which is obviously something that needs to be covered as well. But first thoughts, of course, the craziest, as you say, Tommy, silliest of silly seasons, not even just with drivers, but with just general team personnel and everything else going on.
Why do I... Fuck me.
Clever, aren't you?
Yeah, this bot is super clever. Okay, that's... Man, I should maybe take that one.
Clever, aren't you? You pest.
It's soaping.
My grip. I have no time for games.
So maybe I should play the... Yeah, it have taunt.
And, I mean, thank goodness we've had something to talk about with the likes of Hamilton going to Ferrari and Adrian Newey deciding to leave Red Bull. It's certainly...
You ain't never seen the light again.
True. Man, he's trying to scare me. But actually, he could actually attack me. Oh my god. Fuck me. That scared me actually.
Clever, aren't you?
Yeah, the bot tried something. Oh, it didn't work. Fistpan man.
Make no mistakes.
Wait.
You pest. Top little dead knight.
And then let's see, and I had to all enemy minions. No, enemy. Then we play this one.
Till death do us part.
Oh shit, misplay. Can we win this?
Hopefully creating the ingredients for some great race.
Man, no death rattle that worked as I wanted.
The runes beside your foot.
Yeah, and this also. I don't know why this was a top deck, but fuck me, why? Can't I get one turn without this shit? And also, it's fucking a bot, and then it doesn't use the fucking ability. Fucking retard. Just a well played.
My thanks.
Oh my god.
Clever, aren't you?
Yeah, true.
Racing in the near future. And not just, even as you being a Max Verstappen fan, Max Verstappen dominating. Because nobody wants to see that, Tommy, do they?
We've said it before that the only thing that could have gone wrong for Red Bull at the moment is Red Bull themselves.
Clever, aren't you?
And this seems to be happening. We'll get into it.
Yeah, how to defeat Red Bull is making Red Bull defeat themselves. Ferrari can't, or maybe they can
Top little
more likely do it
knight.
than Mercedes at least.
But yeah, my first thoughts are the fact that until this whole Horner situation happened, where I started to believe more that this would be a possibility and Newey leave, I thought until that happened that Adrian Newey would see out, the rest of his Formula 1 career at Red Bull. I saw.
Fucking, I actually who lost the game because of that. Oh my god, that would be the disgustingest draw ever.
A clip on a podcast that got posted maybe like half a year ago before this storm happened, where Adrian was talking about like Red Bull or his family, and if he left now it'd be like leaving his family. So
yeah. I mean, okay, if the information I read about Andrew Newey, I wouldn't say he's the greatest family guy. I mean, he have 2 ex-wives, if that information is right. So he have left his 3rd wife, Christian Hornet, now.
He was dead set on staying for the rest of his career, but that has all changed now.
It certainly has, and I think it was something that you just wondered.
One more
that
game.
Whole Horner situation, as you say, that it just felt like nothing actually gave. Nothing came of it really. There wasn't.
Yeah, the only information that always come from it is when the Wolf is start talking on just Verstappen.
A conclusion, but now with Newey set to leave Red Bull, this
and no information when he will leave or why he will leave. Only that he will maybe leave.
Is obviously something that has now given. Before we carry on, I would just like to say, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to the P1 YouTube channel. We're trying to hit 500k. We've got so many glorious talking points waiting.
Stop lying. That will probably never happen.
Get us to 500,000. Do it.
There you go. So first question comes in from Sydney XF1. How likely is Newey to Ferrari? Or is Aston Martin looking like a better choice?
I hope he move from McLaren. If not that, Williams. And then can Max Verstappen joins Williams. And then Max Verstappen and Alex Albon with Andrew Newey. And Helmut Marko can then make Williams great again.
Right, so I'm going to give you 2 answers. One of which is full delusion. He's going to Ferrari 100%. Okay? Listen
yeah, true.
Up. Adrian, I've already pleaded to you on my personal TikTok as to reasons that you should go to Ferrari, but I'll also do it on the podcast as well.
Sophie would be really funny if Andy Newey go to Mercedes and make them great. And then Lewis Hamilton sits in a Ferrari when Mercedes is a top team again.
Well, great food, my God, Italian food. Can you get any better than that? Absolutely not. You won't get a better looking car on the grid either. Ferrari is just beautiful. You've got 2 fantastic drivers. Look, I mean, look, this is delusional, but there also are reasons there that I think Adrian should go to Ferrari. How likely is it, is the question from Sydney. I don't know. He's like sold his house, hasn't he? So that seems like he might want to pop to Italy for a few years. You know, I'm sure you can get lovely little houses there. And Ferrari, I'm sure that I have heard.
Or he goes to Audi. That's something.
That Ferrari don't like remote working. But for Newey, get him on Zoom. You know what I mean? He can show his little drawings over Zoom if necessary. It doesn't matter where Newey wants to be. Surely Ferrari will bend over backwards to get him and Lewis Hamilton in the same team. They're, oh, goodness gracious me. How likely is it? I don't know. I don't know, Tommy.
Yep, we're playing against a bot.
But I want to say 100%, but I don't think it's as high as that.
No. But I do think it's...
För de stökiga. För de klumpiga.
Oh my 20 second there.
Och för alla som inte är rädda.
Yeah, go away.
You pest.
Oh shit, one more ad. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we can go back.
Gonna happen. Like, my gut feeling is it's
Stop
gonna happen. And
Also, this card is so boring. At least when you play against a bot, that they just win because of they just play one card.
I'm not just saying that. I've thought this for a while. That I think we did a Patreon pod maybe 2 months ago where we discussed the initial rumors and kind of said that we could see it happening. I think the key thing here is that you look at those two options. There are more, of course, but Adrian Newey is quoted not too long ago about his sort of not regrets in Formula One, but just if he could do his career again, what might change. And those things that he said were that he'd love to work with Ferrari, he'd love to work with Lewis Hamilton, and he'd love to work with Fernando Alonso. Now, going to Aston Martin, he works with Fernando Alonso. Going to Ferrari, he works with Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. So he ticks two massive bucket lists.
So, let's see. 2026, maybe?
Things off. And I think Adrian Newey, being a motorsport nerd through and through,
Would it be funny? And they still can't make a good car with Adrian Newey.
I don't think for a second that Lawrence Stroll is not throwing a massive number, probably just a blank check, say just write whatever you want on it and come to Aston Martin. But as someone later on in their career, I think that Adrian Newey will sort of pick the romantic option of wanting to deliver, because what a way to sort of end your CV if he wins if he wins one or multiple world titles, we don't know, at Ferrari. That would just be like the pinnacle. And it's the same for Lewis Hamilton as a driver. We said at the time it's looking like a better decision now than what it was when he first signed, because we all said it's a sideways step. Now it's looking like Ferrari a lot better and Mercedes seem to be going a bit backwards. But you get to the end of your career, and anyone in life wants to tick things off their bucket list and stuff.
Yeah, we have the second. Wow. The brain of the bot is the greatest, as always. Well, at least I can kill it easy. Yeah, let's see if I can win this.
And that is why I think Adrian Newey will want to be at Ferrari.
Yes, absolutely. I think that you make a good point, and we have already highlighted he's 65 years old. Money, I don't think at this stage of Adrian Newey's career is an object. It's more about ticking off things that you've always wanted to do. When we get
the bucket list. And Ferrari is on the top.
65 years old. I'm sure it'll be the same thing, where you just want to, when you finally are on your deathbed, you
value trade. Oh my god. No. Why are the bots doing this? Well, that's one thing that make playing against bots the worst. But also playing bad. Playing bad and wins.
You go, God, I'm so glad I did X, Y, and Z. And that's, I think, what Adrian will probably be thinking. A lot of people are saying, oh, is he going to retire? If he
could.
He could.
What a flex when everyone wants him, just to be like, you know what? Nah. And then,
yeah.
But I don't think he loves it too much, surely.
I think as well. It's not like he has to drive. We'll be talking about Fernando Alonso when he's 65. Come on, all right, when is he?
And then we have this also. Fucking get an OP weapon because you're a super smart guy. Fuck, I hate this. Can we kill it? Yes, we can. But do I want that? See, if I kill it, the fact that they say summon every mini kill by these weapons, I will probably get just a 2-4. Fucking boring.
My grip tightens. You pest.
Actually going to stop driving Formula 1 cars, but Newey doesn't have to drive them, he just has to design them, and clearly he's still got it because Red Bull are absolutely outrageous at the moment. So I think
also
the Ferrari,
and also with Red Bull, like you say, like let's be honest, it's far too coincidental, the Horner situation, that he's leaving Red Bull. If this Horner situation hadn't have happened, would he now of all times gone, no, you know what, I'm going to retire? No. So it's not a retirement. Like, it's he's left to make a point or whatever he thinks, and that's why I don't think he would retire personally.
which now brings us beautifully onto our next question from Winap. Why is Horner acting like Newey is not a fundamental part of the project? I believe, and this is just my opinion, that it is a case of Horner just digging his heels in and just trying to make sure he stays in the position that he is in. What that...
Oh shit, yeah, quite. It must be in the last game. Yeah, fuck this game. It's done now. Now we can actually do the fun stuff. Go into Minecraft and... Oh my god, how many more fishes do I need to find? I need to find 2,700 fishes, and I have found 338. So that would be something. Let's see. We click on... You can click on that. For now. Turn this shit game off. Yeah, they will have some formula. The yellow Ferrari that wasn't even close to Ferrari. Yellow. Most likely where how blue the Ferrari will be in Miami. Oh yeah. What did you say now?
Digging his heels in and just trying to make sure he stays in the position that he is in. What cost that brings, he doesn't care, as long as he stays in the position that he is in. So I'm sure he is very aware of what Newey brings to the project, as with Max Verstappen.
Or what he also doesn't bring to Red Bull. I mean, surely they have enough people that... And Newey is just a plus, but can work without him.
Any other senior members of Red Bull. But this is, as I say, a case of Christian saying, well, no, you know, what would I do if I leave Red Bull?
Yeah, Formula One, there's a lot of big egos in Formula One, and
To the
you
wolf.
only need to
Tom
watch
Bellingham
Drive
being
to...
one of them.
You only need to watch Drive to Survive to see that, and particularly, you know, with someone like Horner, obviously, Red Bull have won before, you know, 2010 to 2013, and now they're dominating Formula One again. And in Christian Horner's head, he will firmly believe, and you know, there's no doubt that he has led them to that success, to win all those titles. Now, whether he'd have done that without these key people, I personally don't believe so. And I think, while
So will Mercedes ever be one of the top 10 then?
Horner deserves credit, it's not the be-all and end-all that, you know, he is the... It's only Christian Horner being in charge of Red Bull that meant that they won these 6 titles, you know, and more. From everything we've heard, because we've seen a lot of what's the term, like a game of bluff between Max Verstappen's side and Helmut Marko's side and all this kind of stuff of like who's going and what. this is the first sort of maybe domino that's falling now.
Yes, which again, God, what a segue.
If it ever had fallen. And we still not have fallen.
Wait, next question. Alfred Greenwoo9. Will Red Bull fall into some crisis, possibly losing Verstappen and more people with key roles in the team? So, of course, this does now open up the discussion once again about Max Verstappen and what he ends up deciding to do. And
Or maybe we can mention Ferrari and Mercedes, because Lewis Hamilton have already left Mercedes. How many people will leave Mercedes to Ferrari?
the more and more I think about it, and this again is not coming just from pure delusion, the more I feel as though there is a genuine chance that Max will leave Red Bull. Now, he would be silly to decide to leave and go to Mercedes or wherever in 2025. I don't think that's going to happen. I personally believe in 26, Mercedes is a genuine possibility. You got to
Yeah, Mercedes can make a great car, not Red Bull.
think right now, if you're losing Adrian Newey,
Yeah, and what the fuck do Mercedes have, you fucking retard? They have none. They don't have any new or the success Red Bull have now. So what do they have?
you're already rumoured to not have an advantage over the other big engine manufacturers in 26.
Yeah, rumor from who? Toto Wolff again?
When it becomes more of an engine formula and this, that and the other, you start to think about future-proofing yourself here. Are you going to put your money behind a Red Bull team that's lost Adrian Newey, or are you going to put your money behind perhaps a Mercedes getting back to the glory days of what they've had not that long ago? Let's not forget, I know they're washed now, but there's regulation changes coming. And if you can see this Christian Horner potential situation where he is digging his heels in, that could implode the whole team and
That is already done with Toto Wolff and Mercedes, right?
make them fall much further back from where they are
Like Mercedes have already done, right?
right now. I'm not... it's such a crazy situation.
And this fucking team, people think Max Verstappen will join.
But
Why?
it could happen.
It is a crazy situation. Said it on every single predictions that we've done, and every time we mention silly season, that you couldn't have planned it any better that we're about to get a big regulation change, but every single driver's contract is almost up 1 year early, and that makes it so odd that Formula One, if the 2026 regulations came in 2025, I think Max would go. It's not a guarantee that Red Bull are going to be really good in 2026. I've said this before. It is a complete regulation.
Här inne sitter några riktiga champions. Ekonomigänget.
Wow! Fucking out.
Har ni gjort någon presentation eller? Vi har bytt till 3 företag! Trevligt!
Det var bra. Du går till HR.
Nya Rexona Advanced Protection
Fucking
aktiveras av
30 seconds of
frostvärme.
ad.
Så oavsett hur varm du blir skyddar Rexona effektivt mot lukt och svett. Rexona Advanced Protection skyddar dig i 72 timmar.
Change. Look what happened when we changed after 2013. Everyone thought Vettel was going to dominate forever, and you'd never said in 2014 that Vettel wouldn't have even won a race, and you'd have laughed your head off at thinking that was going to be the case. We don't know from the outside, and there's been no talk of it yet, but they might know how things are going with Ford. I'm sure Ford aren't particularly happy with the situation at Red Bull either, and that's probably not helping their plans of developing a new engine and how things are going. And they might have, Max and everyone who are on the inside might have seen stuff and go, well, we might not be very good in 2026, because they seem to, the teams do know, like Alpine knew they were going to fall off a cliff this year, like even though until you get on the track and see everyone else, the teams do know how their performance is going to be. So maybe there are warning signs that in 2026 they might not be the team they are now.
Yeah, do Mercedes have any warning signs?
Which may seem a million miles away now, but it is a complete change.
Andy Fleet 22 comes in with, If Newey is forced to see out his contract plus gardening leave, will teams wait that long for him, as the 2026 cars could be built and racing by then? So, of course, Newey is contracted until the end of 25. Then he'd have to do his gardening leave. So 27 is when he'd be able to start. And then if you think how much time he would need to actually fully get up to speed, he might well be turning nearly 70 then. So how I would see this is that Red Bull, of course, would not be willing to let go of Newey easily. But I feel as though Ferrari, John Elkann, Fred, you know what I'm saying, they're all going to be there saying, look, how much? Come on. How much to let him go? And we've already seen Ferrari are very...
They probably will never give a number.
Willing to put the money where their mouth is. And for people that say they can't afford it, I'm like, we need to differentiate here. We need to differentiate here between the cost cap, which is about developing the car, and the team's run. It does not include the top 3 paying individuals, which include, no surprise, the drivers. And I would imagine that third person is 3, isn't it? I'm not mistaken here. I'm pretty sure it's the 3 key personnel don't.
It wouldn't come under the cost cap, which is why Aston Martin has become such a talking point, because they could essentially throw whatever at Newey.
Exactly. So with that, they can afford the Adrian Newey bills, and we've also said as well that I'm sure Adrian would do it for 50p in a meal deal, because he's all about the romance and he's not about the money. Adrian, Ferrari is the way. But that is, of course, that is how I see it going, is that Newey would be able to end his contract. Well, it sounds like he's going to leave Red Bull very, very soon, imminently. So I think that will be sorted one way or another. Then he'll do his gardening leave in 25, and then 26, here we go.
I wouldn't even be surprised if they're like, you know what, you can have a road car called the Ferrari Newey, and you can make it. But this is what they've got in the locker as a company like Ferrari. They have the power, they have the romance and whatever, and Adrian Newey as a designer, that would something that would be, you know, really exciting for him that he could do as well. So that is why Ferrari, I think, are in pole position for it.
So that is it. I think we're done. What a chat. Exciting bit of, well, imminent news. Tommy, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are exactly what you kind of mentioned earlier, that we need some juicy on-track action now, please. Loving all this chaos.
Yeah, and that will be a sprint race. That must be really funny.
The silly season. Fun. But give us a good one. Luckily, it's Miami next, and it's a sprint, so I'm sure it'll be great.
That'll be good. Not one bad race.
Like I said, and it will not, because it will be a sprint race.
But 2. But we'll be live on Twitch. Matt P1 Tommy.
Please keep watching.
All the content, as always. At least it's not a ridiculously early one. It's actually a late one this time, so that'll be interesting.
So I'll be asleep.
Yeah, you will. But no, you won't. You'll be energetic and great content coming out of your mouth. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you very soon. Adrian Newey to Ferrari. Take care. Lots of love. Bye.
If they are in the same room, maybe great content will come in his mouth. And they both will be laughing and have a great day with that. Oh shit. But we did we could... Where do we have it? The race.
Front-running F1.
Let's see... Yeah, let's see the color science stuff. Will he go to Audi or Mercedes? Let's see.
Imagine you're a front-running F1 driver. You're racing for Ferrari. You're the only driver other than Max Verstappen to have won a Grand Prix in the past 18.
Yeah, but Leclerc could have been the one, so don't act like he did something impossible.
Months, and you're in the form of your life. Yet somehow you don't have a seat for 2025.
I wonder why, because it's so good, right? He's so good, so he's better than Hamilton.
And there's every chance you'll have to drop down the grid next year to get one. That's all because Ferrari has made the completely understandable decision to sign Lewis Hamilton, a shock move that is the primary reason for Carlos Sainz being in this absurd situation. But it's not the only bizarre factor. It's almost inconceivable that the 29-year-old wouldn't have a place on the grid next year, although it is possible. But the big question is whether the place he's likely to get is in keeping with the status and performance level of a driver who you would expect to be a dead cert for a top drive. Sainz can't stay at Ferrari, which he surely would have done had Hamilton not been available, and the doors appear to be closing on him at other top teams. Sainz puts a positive spin on everything, and understandably so, but he also admits it's unnerving not to know what the future holds. I asked him about this in China, and he revealed that he vacillates between discomfort and excitement at the possibilities.
So just join Audi, and then everything will be secure.
Of the fast-moving driver market. Sainz spoke of there being news every day when it comes to the silly season. Sometimes that news closes off potential avenues. Aston Martin was the latest possibility to fall off the table, given the recent announcement that Fernando Alonso is staying on for at least another 2 seasons. While Aston Martin hasn't officially confirmed Lance Stroll in the seat, his status appears to remain inviolable regardless of performance level. As Aston Martin team principal Mike Crack said recently, Aston Martin is Stroll's home and the project was built around him.
Yeah, I wonder why. And this will just ruin the team.
So there's little hope of Sainz lining up at Aston Martin. Sainz's former team, McLaren, is also full, so that's 3 of the top 5 teams off the table. Sainz himself talks up the many opportunities on the table, arguing that all his best options are still open. But as we've already established, there's a difference between the best options and his best options. And the best options are not as open as Sainz would like.
I mean, the best option is Audi.
Harry? Alla kan vinna. Du kan vinna.
Sainz is in contention for a Red Bull seat that would reunite him with old Toro Rosso teammate Max Verstappen. That's some.
Yeah, I don't believe that. All information that are said about Red Bull is, oh, this is why Max will leave Red Bull. Why the fuck do you have Carlos Sainz wanna join the Red Bull then? It's so fucking stupid. Yeah, when we talk about this driver, the news is the team will be bad. When we talk about this driver, then the news will be good.
Something Red Bull's Helmut Marko has confirmed, albeit with the caveat that Red Bull can't match the lucrative offer Sainz already has from Audi to join what's currently called Sauber. Now that sounds somewhat strange, because if Red Bull wants Sainz, it can
yeah, if they want him, they can pay. If they don't want him and want to get him somewhat cheap, maybe cheaper than Perez, then they give a low price.
Undoubtedly splash whatever cash is needed to land his services, so that suggests there's not much desire to do so. The fact is that while Sainz is in contention at Red Bull, incumbent driver Sergio Perez is the comfortable favourite. Red Bull is in no rush and wants to ensure Perez sustains his strong early season form before committing. And even if Perez were to suffer a slump in form as he did in the middle of 2023 and Red Bull wanted to drop him, there's no guarantee Sainz would be the alternative. After all, while Sainz and Verstappen got on fine personally, the relationship when they were Toro Rosso teammates back in 2015 and early 2016 was troublesome. The other possibility is that Verstappen somehow walks away from Red Bull, something that's constantly talked about but seems like an extreme long shot at best. So while Red Bull...
Yeah, and for some reason Carlos Sainz want to join this team that are so bad. Is it better to join Audi then?
Is for 2025 at least clearly the best option for any driver, and the only one where Sainz would consider a one-year deal, given it would instantly offer him championship level machinery, is still possible. It doesn't seem likely. The main reason he's being discussed right now appears to be to keep the pressure on Perez. And for there to be any chance of Perez's seat becoming available, Sainz is going to have to wait for some time and risk missing out on alternatives. Mercedes is the other obvious top team with an available seat thanks to Hamilton's departure, but while a seat swap seems the logical outcome and Sainz has had talks with the Silver Arrows, Mercedes has other plans. The obstacle Sainz faces is 17-year-old Kimi Antonelli, who had his first test in F1 machinery in a 2021 Mercedes W12 at the Red Bull Ring before the Chinese Grand Prix weekend. He's highly rated, a driver Mercedes is keen to put into a race seat probably next year, or at least not long after. Therefore, even if Mercedes needed a stopgap were it to decide Antonelli isn't ready, the best it would offer is a relatively short-term deal. And even then, neither Mercedes nor Sainz would want it to be just a one-year contract. Sainz is keen on a long-term deal, and it wouldn't really be worth his while holding on for a one-year Mercedes offer given its current troubles, even if it were likely. Especially if he would still have to wait and see how Antonelli progresses before Mercedes commits to him. Sainz hasn't publicly ruled out going short-term, and there is an argument for taking immediate competitiveness over longer-term assurances. But as he says, it all depends on the compromises of the offers. That means hopes aren't high for Sainz to land a Silver Arrows drive right now. Therefore, he must consider options in the back half of the grid, which is why he's being honest when he claims that he and his management have been talking to every single team. And there's one standout option down the field.
Audi.
Sauber, which becomes Audi in 2026, has been aggressively courting Sainz with what could potentially give him both the big paycheck his CV demands and the long-term deal he wants. The trouble is, does he really want to go there? Yes, it's turning into a manufacturer team, a process that has recently accelerated thanks to Audi taking over the whole of Sauber, having originally planned to own 75% of it. Audi has also got a big reputation and a track record for success in all sorts of forms of motorsport, though not F1. So the chance to spearhead a major factory team has its appeals. It's also willing to splash the cash. As Sauber Group Managing Director Alessandro Aluni-Bravi puts it, his team is a player in the driver market. And as it has already signed Nico Hülkenberg as one of its drivers, it can wait for as long as it takes for Sainz to make a decision. The trouble is, the team is a very long way from being a top F1 operation, and the engine is a big unknown. So if Sainz does end up there, it's a move that guarantees long-term stability and great financial reward, but only the hope rather than the expectation of success in the long term.
Like Mercedes have any different?
While Audi is the obvious choice in the back half of the grid, there are other possibilities. Williams is one, and there have been talks with the Sainz camp. Williams is understood to see the Spaniard as the top choice, albeit a long shot. Williams is in talks with many drivers as it chases a replacement for the underperforming Logan Sargent, but it's difficult to see Sainz seeing this as the best option, despite the team making a big case to his management in terms of the long-term vision for the team. Beyond that, while Hassan RB would be a logical move, a return to Alpine, which Sainz raced for from late 2017 to the end of 2018 in its Renault guise, can't be completely discounted given its status as a works team. But its dismal start to 2024 has led the Sainz camp to downgrade that possibility even further. There are several other factors that make this decision so vital for Sainz. While he will always be known as a Ferrari driver, you can argue that where he ends up in 2025 could represent a career-defining move. He turns 30 in September, so while his next F1 team won't necessarily be his last, he will likely be regarded as a veteran option if there's another move to come after that. His desire for a long-term deal is compromised by the fact that he will be choosing a team for 2026 based on limited information given the likely impact of the major rule changes, particularly to the power units. The last time F1 made a big change to the power unit regulations was in 2014. Mercedes hit the front as it was widely expected to, but that was more clearly telegraphed given it had chosen to start work on its engine concept earlier than the rest, based on the discussions between manufacturers about the regulations, while rivals delayed. This time round, all of the engine manufacturers have taken a more strategic approach to power units that aren't as radical a departure as they were from 2013 to 2014, which is necessary given the power unit cost cap and the freeze on current engine developments. And definitive power unit development progress is a crucial piece of information that Sainz will not have before he makes his choice. When talking about his future, he makes it clear his focus is more on 2026 and beyond than 2025 in the short term, so any decision will require a healthy amount of crystal ball gazing. That's why it's essential that he doesn't allow this situation to distract or frustrate him. And his on-track performances prove that he's compartmentalising effectively. So,
fuck me. of his life. Yeah,
Just
sure.
how well is Sainz performing this year? And is he really the best he's been in Formula 1?
Nope.
It is usually a given that drivers will generally get better as experience builds. What's more, the Ferrari Sainz is driving now is a more consistent car with a much broader window of performance than before. Ask Sainz if he's at his best and he gives an equivocal
Wait, he won one race 2022, then 2023 and 2024. So he can win one race per season.
answer, arguing that it's unclear because of the difficulty of disentangling driver performance and the opportunity presented by the car. As the man himself says, am I at my best? I don't know. Sainz argues that it looks...
all the 3 races he won, Leclerc could easily been the number 1. But stuff made so that he didn't get the chance to win.
like he's at his best primarily because the car is so good, leading to consistently good results. He points out that there were also strong stretches of form in his McLaren and Toro Rosso days. Note that he left Renault out of that list, most likely because his sole full season with that team in 2018 was, relative to his experience level, his worst in F1. But even that was still a decent campaign. The bottom line is that Sainz has always been a very good Grand Prix driver and has regularly produced performances at a high level. But what is clear is that this is probably his strongest start to a season in his time at Ferrari. Despite missing the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix due to appendicitis, he has had a good run compared to Charles Leclerc. In qualifying, he has an average advantage of 0.120 seconds, having outqualified Leclerc 3 times out of 5. And to be able to push a driver as quick as Leclerc that hard and so often come out on top tells you how good Sainz is.
Or how fucking bad the car is for Leclerc. Don't act like Carlos Sainz is good because of that. Charles Leclerc is just doing bad performance. That make Carlos Sainz can be so bad that he would still be good.
His race results have also been consistently good, as even though Leclerc finished ahead in both races during the Shanghai
I wonder why.
Grand Prix weekend, the pace difference was negligible. And Sainz knows he needs to make a good impression, as his willingness to fight teammate Leclerc as hard as he did in the China sprint race when he forced him off at the hairpin proves. This shows what Sainz is capable of and why he's a driver who is on so many shortlists, albeit seemingly not at the top for any of the front-running teams who would give him the machine.
I wonder why he's not one of the greatest.
To deliver on his number 1 priority of winning. Whether he will is another question. As we've seen, the driver market isn't looking favourable for him, and right now the most likely destination is the Audi project that, realistically, is far from his real first choice. As Sainz says, F1 is a very particular sport, blending the sporting side and the politics, and that's why despite his strong performances, there's so much uncertainty about his long-term future. Some would argue that's unfair, but at the same time it's also partly down to where Sainz stands in F1's driver pecking order. He's a very high calibre performer, one capable of winning races in the right car. But Leclerc has on balance had the edge over Sainz in their time together at Ferrari. A glance at key statistics shows that he qualifies and outraces...
Wow, Gasly can also win. Ocon can also win. They must be one of the greatest because they won a race.
Sainz over 60% of the time. Sainz is seen as an outstanding second driver, more than that really, a number 1.5 if you like, by top teams rather than a cast-iron title-winning team leader, but that still puts him in elite company. The circumstances are certainly absurd for Sainz, who has proved himself time and again in frontline machinery and would be a valuable asset for any F1 team. Sainz's situation is a reminder that in F1 it's only the few megastars like Hamilton and Verstappen who have full control of their destiny. But if Sainz keeps doing what he's doing, then he could yet force his way back to the top of the list of a team that could conceivably give him the race-winning machinery he craves and deserves in 2025.
Deserves. Yeah, sure. Oh, fuck me. So much information and so little was said. Let's see, what the fuck? The absurdity of Carlos Sainz 2025 F1 dilemma. What absurd? There's nothing in... It didn't mention anything that was absurd in that clip. If Carlos Sainz was much better in Formula 1 and he will still have this problem, then it would be absurd. But he isn't one of the greatest. He's just a good driver. That's why he in this position. That's why he got removed and Lewis Hamilton joined Ferrari. And that's why no other top team is. I mean, if he was so good, why haven't Mercedes already signed Carlos Sainz? Or why didn't Red Bull sign him? So maybe it's clearly he's good, but not good enough for the top teams. So Audi will be the only team that will take him. And like they mentioned, Antonelli is Mercedes' future, not Carlos Sainz. And Red Bull have already Perez, that also a good driver. So they don't need any new driver in that team. So in theory, you have Mercedes, Audi and Red Bull as an option to go to. Most likely it will just be Audi. Oh shit, go away. See. Oh, now they did actually a flip, probably on Perez. Or something about the second Red Bull driver. Must be Perez. And there we have the ads is gone. See how the Red Bull second F1 car stopped being a big liability. He stopped trying to beat Max Verstappen and just trying to... Oh, new fish for the collection. Green and pink. Fuck me, I just found just 4 for now. One more fish for the collection. It doesn't look new, but sure, we take it. Yeah, it was not a new fish. But yeah, he stopped trying to beat Max Verstappen. That's why he's not a liability now.
Not long ago, Sergio Perez's Red Bull future seemed doomed. He had little hope of a new deal to keep him at the team in 2025. There were even rumours he might be replaced for this season, despite being under contract. But Perez hung on and has started the season well. Not Max Verstappen well, but he scored valuable points, finished on the podium in 4 out of 5 races, as well as taking 3rd in the China Sprint, and kept out of trouble. That might not seem good enough given he's driving the all-conquering Red Bull RB20 that Verstappen is already well on the way to winning a 4th consecutive World Championship in, but it's what the team wants from Perez given it has its superstar driver and just needs a reliable wingman. He's actually doing worse than the same stage of the season last year given he won 2 of the first 4 Grand Prix in 2023 and banked 105 points compared to his current tally of 85. He was even talking about fighting Verstappen for the World Championship then. However, that's not the key point of comparison given his form subsequently dropped off badly. What's crucial is that there was a spell during last season when he was, at times, a major liability in the second car. After the August break, Perez managed a grand total of 2 podium finishes. He even came perilously close to losing second in the World Championship to Lewis Hamilton, despite being in a crushingly dominant car. But now he's back on track. Red Bull isn't expecting him to do anything special, but he's been consistently not too far behind Verstappen, having been all at sea for a long stretch last year. That's why Red Bull team principal Christian Horner describes him as driving exceptionally well. Perez is now the clear favourite to stay on at Red Bull in 2025. He's pushing for a new contract and says that he expects to have his future set soon. But he must wait a little longer before things are signed, sealed and delivered, for reasons we'll come to shortly. So the big question is, what is Perez doing differently that has allowed him to turn things around?
Not overdriving the car.
It's often said that the key is he's given up on trying to beat Verstappen and accepted his lot as number 2. There might be a little to that, but although he's avoided the bold proclamations about challenging for the title that he made after his strong start last year, he hasn't given up on doing so. But it's more about accepting his own limitations and changing his approach in a way that prevents him from getting lost with car setup. That's what went wrong last season. Perez pointed to the changing characteristics of the car from last year's Spanish Grand Prix onwards as the root cause of that. But at the same time, Verstappen made a breakthrough with the car. That was based on what he learned while experimenting with settings during his unsuccessful chase of Perez in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Verstappen later cited that as the turning point of his season. Verstappen put that experience to good use in Miami, where Perez led after Verstappen started 9th thanks to a mistake on his first run in Q3 before his second was interrupted by a red flag. There he caught and passed Perez almost effortlessly. This combination of factors meant Perez slumped, struggled for pace and made some big mistakes. At Monaco he crashed at Saint Devote in Q1 at the start of a string of lacklustre races for him. That included a crash on his first flying lap in FP1 in Hungary that was symptomatic of him pushing to replicate what Verstappen excels at by being quick straight out of the box, but tripping himself up. In short, Perez struggled with the car, didn't have the confidence and got lost trying to find a setup direction that gave him the balance he wanted. The bottom line is that while Verstappen liked a very responsive...
Not only that suit him to be also faster than Max Verstappen or equally fast. New fish for the collection. Line brown. Do we have Spotty?
Responsive front end on turn-in, this is beyond what most drivers can deal with at corner entry. Perez searched for a setup that felt right for him that was more biased towards the understeer he thrives with, but that simply didn't have the same performance potential. Perez has cited Suzuka as his nadir last year. There he lapped almost 8/10 slower than Verstappen in qualifying and retired in the race. That he lapped just a 10th off Verstappen on Saturday in Japan this year and finished a comfortable second proves he has made gains. Last year he followed up those Suzuka struggles with another terrible weekend in Qatar where he failed to reach Q3, then retired from the sprint race after a clash with Nico Hülkenberg and Esteban Ocon before finishing 10th in the Grand Prix itself. That was the low point, after which the recovery began. Between the Qatar and United States Grand Prix last year, Perez spent 3 days at the Red Bull factory working closely with race engineer Hugh Bird and in the simulator in search of a change in fortune. Things didn't improve instantly, but this was the start of the recovery. When I asked him about this process during last year's Mexican Grand Prix weekend, Perez described the changes as leading to a reset in his setup approach, having got lost previously. He explained that this was about moving close to the start of weekend setup Verstappen used, then diverging through the weekend. That work continued through to the end of the season. Crucially, he also had a full day of running in the car during the post-Abu Dhabi Grand Prix tyre test. There he racked up 117 laps that he described as crucial in gaining information for 2024. At the launch of this year's Red Bull, he referred to errors made in setup direction last year that were overcompensating for things and didn't improve the car. The key learning is therefore to avoid doing that and make the most of what the car could do rather than trying to force it in a direction that didn't work. The proof is in the pudding, and in Perez's case, that's a convincing start to the season. That means he's closing on a new deal, but there's still one thing that he has to do before he can get that new contract. Red Bull is not in as much of a hurry to put pen to paper as Perez is. That's because it wants to ensure Perez stays on the straight and narrow and doesn't repeat the mistakes of last year. That means staying focused on this revised approach, accepting that realistically he's not going to be challenging Verstappen for the championship, and producing sustained results. As Horner puts it, Perez must replicate what he's done over the first 5 weekends consistently. It's a logical position to take. After all, the last thing Red Bull wants to do is sign him up, then get to the Spanish Grand Prix at Barcelona and fall into another long spell of Perez complaining he can't drive the car as he wants to. Both Horner and Red Bull Motorsport advisor Helmut Marko have also mentioned that Perez's performances might be tied to the fact he is out of contract. In Horner's case, that was said somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but as the saying goes, many a true word is said in jest, so why not test him out for a little longer? Perez is well aware he still has work to do if he's to get the new deal. He knows he's going to need to keep this level of performance up for a few more months at least, with drivers like Carlos Sainz available and in dialogue with Red Bull about next year, even though Daniel Ricciardo has become less of a threat. The one stumbling block will likely be how long the deal is. As Marko has said, Perez wants to stay, but is pushing for a longer contract than Red Bull might be prepared to offer. This is where there might be a difference in perspective. As Perez says, the new deal is all about how Red Bull sees their future together, a hint at the long term. It's difficult to see Perez getting more than a one-year deal covering 2025, likely with some kind of option on Red Bull's side for beyond. With new regulations for 2026 and major changes going on in the driver market, it's very likely Red Bull will look to upgrade its second driver for that season, given even Perez at his best is well off Verstappen's level. It's known to have an interest in bringing Alex Albon back to the team, and he is out of contract for 2026, while there could be other options on the market, including George Russell, who Horner jokingly mentioned after the Chinese Grand Prix is available in 2026. Realistically, it's difficult to imagine Perez would turn down one more year in F1's leading team because it didn't offer him a long-term deal, especially given he insists retirement isn't on his mind. He's not in a strong position to make demands and will likely have to take what he's given. Provided he does that, he is the clear favourite for the seat, and right now the likelihood is he will still be there next year, but he's still got some work to do to make sure of that. And when it comes to Red Bull's 2026 driver lineup, all bets are off.
All bets is off. Okay, 338. Okay, 338. You go away. Let's see. That we will wait with. That we will wait. Yeah. It's time for some Indycar stuff. Let's see what... Oh shit. And before that we need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. 348 plus 10. We have 1 Betty, 2 Betty, 1 Brinley, 2 Brinley. Oh, this one should go here. Dotty back. Do we have one Dotty back? Nope. Then we already have -1. 347 minus 1. Lime gray. Fuck me. Did we really have? Yep. Lime gray. Green. Green pink. Oh shit. Blue, yellow, blue, light gray. Do we have pink? Yeah, pink, blue. Pink, yellow, pink, blue. Okay, then we have Blockfish, Brinley, red, blue. Red, blue, lime, purple. Dasher. Spotty cob. Lime ray. To make sure. Yes, it's same. Grey lime. Dasher. Green and light grey. And then we have light grey. Nope. No light grey. That's spotty. Orange. Nope. Lime. Lime brown. Two lime brown. Orange cyan. -2, 345. -2. Okay, but let's do the Indycar stuff. Let's see what they have to say. Oh shit. We need sound and yeah, the race was not a lot happened in my opinion, but let's see what the Indycar fan.
Pretty much the last 7 days in IndyCar racing have been the most bizarre 7 days that I can remember in a very long time. And it's not just been one story that has taken over the headlines. There's been a whole bunch of different things. Thankfully, there was actually racing this weekend, and there was actually racing that was worth talking about, because the Barber race was just, I thought, excellent. In fact, the last two Indy...
It started like how it ended. So I don't know what you're amazing with that.
Races have been excellent, and thank God, because the rest of it is a whole bunch of drama, which we're very used to at this point, covering this series. But I really enjoyed Barber, and you know, it had everything. It had a viral moment, which might be one of the funniest things I've ever seen, especially from like the shot. And let me set the stage for you guys, because I'm sure you've seen it at this point, and if you haven't,
yes.
Barber Motorsports Park has a bunch of artwork strewn about the facility. George Barber, who is the creator of Barber Motorsports Park, has an interesting sense of humor, and if you ever go to Barber, there's all sorts of things to find. And one of those things, which was hung around 2016, I believe, was Georgina, who is a mannequin hanging under a bridge as the drivers go underneath. And I guess the lore, at least in the mind of George Barber, is that someday she will fall off of the rafters and into the cockpit of a car of a driver who she deems worthy in her one true love. That is literally the lore of this mannequin. Well, she chose Pietro Fittipaldi.
To reach an amazing place, all you need to do is move.
No. It's not the only thing you need to do.
Sound body.
På badplatsen finns det ett högt torn. Är du ett chips eller popcorn?
True. I ship. Or a popcorn.
Because she fell off the bridge about 2/3 of the way through the IndyCar race at Barber. Landed on the track, unfortunately lost a hand after Luca Giotto tapped her on the way by, but she was able to be recovered, and hopefully she will end up in a prominent position in George Barber's museum, because that's one of the funniest things I've seen in a very
sad that she lost the hand.
Very long time. So now that we've got that extremely important bit of news out of the way, I think it's worthwhile to look at the results from the IndyCar race at Barber before we go into a little bit more detail about this event. And it was Scott McLaughlin back.
Yeah, this. I mean, why would this be something good? A good race if Scott McLaughlin, the starter race, also finished the race in top 1, or the P1.
His win from last year and winning once again from pole position with 58 laps led. However, that doesn't really tell the tale of this race, which was extremely exciting. Will Power, who started on the outside of the front row, led 1 lap and finished second. A great day for Team Penske, coming off the extreme amount of controversy, which we will touch on later on in this video, in regards to a push to pass irregularity, manipulation, cheating, perhaps, whatever you want to call it. And certainly there are a lot of people using a lot of variety of different words, but the fact of the matter is Scott McLaughlin Willpower 1-2 at Barber. Linus Lundqvist, what a fantastic...
Yeah, the only thing that you can celebrate is, well, Linus Lundqvist and Felix Rosenqvist.
Result for Linus. An early pit stop on an early yellow proved very, very beneficial for Linus, but he drove his way through the field and drove up to a legitimate 3rd place and had a shot at Willpower on the last restart. Wasn't able to quite get by him, but he did lead 4 laps in his IndyCar podium debut. Felix Rosenqvist, great result for the Meyer-Shank Racing team. Felix finally put together a complete race, and it ends up that Felix is 4th. The first driver, by the way, on his strategy, which was the 2-stop strategy. So Felix Rosenqvist really...
Oh shit, yeah. 2-stop... option, what the fuck you call it. And that Rosenqvist said he was happy with. That I... Oh, it didn't drown. That they stock, they didn't change the the fuck do you call it? The oh my god, the strategy. And I kept it and succeeded with it.
A great race, finishing at the top of his strategy, Paul. And then Alex Palou, who was up front, looked fast, decided to go with a 2-stop strategy. That wasn't the wisest decision, in my opinion, with the pace that car had. He led 12 laps, but ultimately was not a factor in the finishing result, but a good points day for the defending IndyCar Series champion. Christian Lundgaard, who had such a good start to the race, and the weekend, really, qualifying 3rd, manages to recover to 6th. The strategy for them didn't work out very well. The strategy did work out very, very well for Santino Ferrucci, who I think forgot he wasn't in NASCAR anymore and was absolutely using guys up to get to P7, leading 14 laps of the race off strategy. A great result for Santino and the AJ Foyt Racing team. They've cracked the top 10 in points going into the month of May, which is very important because Santino Ferrucci finished 3rd at the Indianapolis 500, and I think a lot of people are pegging him to win this coming month. Colton Herta was one of the drivers who had significant contact with Santino Ferrucci throughout the race. Those two aren't huge fans of one another, it has to be said, and Colton Herta does take over the points lead with his 8th place finish. Herta really kind of changing his driving as well, going for results, and it's paying off.
New fix for the collection.
And He's up front for the
It's
first time in his IndyCar career. Marcus
epic.
Armstrong had a great day. Didn't quite put it together the whole way, but a good top 10 finish for Marcus Armstrong. He's starting to really show signs that he's going to be a contender later on in the
didn't Armstrong and Will Power collided?
IndyCar ranks. Kyle Kirkwood, another top 10
Somewhat.
for him. Graham
Or is
Rahal
Pato
in
Ward?
P11. The Rahal team definitely a little bit disappointed because they had some
New Garden could it be?
great pace, but they're going into one of their best tracks on the Indy Road Course 2 weeks from today. Romain Grosjean, another good result, a solid result for Hunkos Hollinger Racing. He finished second here last year. Really probably should have won the race last year, but a good solid result for Romain, and we'll see what he can do. Indy Road Course is also one of his better tracks. Jack Harvey, a great result, P13 for Dale Coyne Racing. He needed that. Good for Jack, a great finish, and certainly something they're going to build on with Jack and Dale Coyne Racing. Kiffin Simpson, another good driver with a good result. Rookie, in fact, the top, well, I guess if you consider Linus Lundqvist a rookie, I guess he's the second highest rookie in the field. But the true rookie, a driver who has not competed in another IndyCar season other than the current one, Kiffin Simpson in P14, which is probably to say not much. Scott Dixon had contact with Graham Rahal. Race control, I think, correctly. Did not take action. I think that incident was Dixon's fault, but it certainly hurt him when it looked like he was on pace for another good day. So not a good points day for Scott Dixon. Just a terrible week for Joseph Newgarden, and he made a mistake, in fact, on the last lap of the race. Never really was in contention. Certainly the scandal regarding the push to pass has distracted Joseph Newgarden, and I would imagine will distract him going into the month of May. That will be a storyline. Rinus VK was fast, but caused...
And that you can also say, because he did such a bad race, then that will also be on his mind. And if you do one more race bad, then that also will be on his mind.
A dramatic incident at the start, was penalized for that, but never truly recovered to 17th. Marcus Ericsson was in the wars as well, making contact with Christian Rasmussen early in the race. 18th for Ericsson. Not a good result for him. Tom Blomqvist hasn't been able to quite match Rosenqvist yet this.
Oh, I think Theo Pescher could have somewhat a good race. But I don't know, Newgarden or someone that you didn't think would ruin someone's race, ruined his race, I think.
Season, though, I definitely saw signs of improvement already in his young IndyCar
the white
career.
one I got.
Augustin Canapino, I think he was another driver who had contact down at turn 5, which is not unexpected at Barber Motorsports Park. Shout out to Luke.
Oh shit, was it Christian Rasmussen that just crashed out? Or was it? No, it could be someone else. Oh, maybe they are
Giotto.
further down.
Fantastic result, really, when you haven't sat in an open wheel car for 2 years, jump in for the first time at practice, got a call very, very late. He's a regular in the European Le Mans Series now. Former F2 driver, but 21st place on a track as difficult as Barber. He will be driving for Dale Coyne at the Indy GP as well, and as well as the F2 driver behind him, Theo Porcher, an old Terry Pork Chops or whatever they call him at Arrow McLaren. Not a good day for McLaren. That is plain and simple and obvious, I would say.
Oh no! Theo Porcher finished ahead Pato Ward again. That can't be a good, what do you say, track record to keep. At least for Pato Ward. It would be great to keep it for Porcher to beating Pato Ward for a second time.
22nd finishing position, actually got punted on the last lap by Pato O'Ward. Actually ended up being scored one lap behind the race. Pato actually finishes or is placed behind Theo Porcher because of that contact on the last lap, but Pato spun on his own.
Oh my god, was it Yeah, must be. Pato Ward that... Oh, you can't say crashed into Pusher. But not enough for someone to DNF. Man. Newgarden and Pato Ward had both really interesting races in a bad way.
Almost got into the back of Christian Lundgaard, into the gravel, and then caused an incident with Pietro Fittipaldi, taking him out of the race, and then of course punting Pourchaire on the last lap, who is a teammate at Arrow McLaren. That's a tough thing for Pato Ward, and that was definitely not one of his finer performances, to say the least. Christian Rasmussen spun towards the end of the race.
Okay, so that was Rasmussen did. Spun around in the last lap.
Set up a fairly dramatic finish. He was fast, but certainly got pinballed a bit during the race. Alexander Rossi lost a wheel, and that caused him to retire.
Stingray. Oh yeah, fucking that happened. That was not a great pit stop for him. Yes, Stingray Robb was the one, I think, just crashed out, and then Fittipaldi got pushed and then crashed out.
Robb was one of 2 steering failures throughout the weekend, had hard contact, but thankfully was okay. And ironically enough, while it wasn't this incident that took him out of the race, Pietro Fittipaldi also suffered a steering failure in qualifying. So something curious, 2 different teams suffering steering failures. I'd be curious.
No.
Pepsi Max. New look, same great taste.
Not same great taste. Same bad taste. Come on, don't lie.
Kampen för låga priser fortsätter. NetOnNet.
Curious to know what was causing those. So yeah, again, drama at the end of the video, but you know, considering all of the drama that led into this weekend, Scott McLaughlin absolutely performed very, very well. It was pretty clear and obvious from any interviews he did over the weekend that he was not interested in talking or discussing or really focusing on the disqualification at St. Petersburg, and it showed. It showed in his performance. So good mental toughness from McLaughlin and willpower as well. And unfortunately, you know, and understandably so, Joseph Newgarden struggled with that. And so it's interesting to see how the Penske team all handled this individual crisis differently. And I'm sure we're going to continue to hear...
Oh, well, that's just a theory. But is that the truth? Probably
more
not.
And more about that as time goes on. I think that the race itself, thank goodness, we finally had a race with 2 really distinct tire strategies to use. There were points in the race where I was worried that cautions were going to affect the strategy.
Well, it did, didn't it? I'm gonna stop the line.
3-stop strategy being viable. That ended up not being the case. The 3-stop strategy ended up working to perfection. So great for IndyCar that the strategy managed to make the race good, and certainly the IndyCar drivers put on a great show. It was an exciting event. I thought it was great TV. Hopefully the TV rating will reflect that, but you know, I don't have much confidence these days in that. I think we should just appreciate that it was an entertaining race for those who watched it. And you know, I think this is a good transition point, but certainly Arrow McLaren is leaving a lot to be desired right now. Now, certainly Pato Award was awarded a win at St. Petersburg. They ran fairly well there, but he has yet to lead a lap this season. Did not lead a lap at St. Pete when he was awarded that victory. And the performance at Barber, I mean, you think top to bottom, obviously the crew costing Alexander Rossi the race. Théo Pourchaire had a very uneventful race, and certainly expectations were not very high for him because Barber Motorsports Park is one of the most difficult racetracks on the calendar from a physicality standpoint. But then getting punted by Pato Award at the end of the race. Yeah, it was unfortunately embarrassing for that team, frankly. Now, good news is they're good at the Indy GP, and they're obviously good at the Indianapolis 500. But, you know, one of two teams now with a bit of controversy hanging over them. Arrow McLaren this morning announced that they had let go of David Malukas, who is still recovering from a hand injury and was supposed to drive.
Oh, that's why the thumbnail. And will he keep
the
T-Pusher?
6 car full time for Arrow McLaren. That is no longer the case. He is no longer employed by Arrow McLaren, and I want to take a real quick look at the statement that he put out. David, the past 3 months have been challenging. I felt privileged to have had the opportunity to drive for Arrow McLaren and regret that it never materialized. I would have loved to have continued representing the teams and its partners going forward. They have been good, and I appreciate all that they have done for me. I've done everything possible to speed up the rehab process, treatments, physiotherapy, strength training, but my recovery has taken longer than anticipated. Every injury is different, and everybody heals at a different pace. I'll turn my attention to getting back to 100% and then prove I am ready and able to compete, to win. So, David Malukas, I mean, this is not, I would say, not shocking and certainly not unexpected. This pretty much since around Thermal, I would say, and even really before St. Pete, there were rumblings, there was talk that if this did prove to be an injury that was more lengthy than 1 or 2 races, David Malukas would likely be cut free. And certainly now that this injury is clearly going to take him past the Indianapolis 500, it does make sense. I mean, it's not going to be popular, and I understand why it's not going to be popular, and understanding the history with how they've handled driver contracts in the past. Certainly with the fan base, it's not going to be popular, but I understand the decision that Arrow McLaren made. You've got drivers who have now actually raced this season in Théo Pourchaire and Callum Ilott, and putting David in the car after an injury, even if he had recovered all the way, was going to be a difficult task to get him up to speed quickly enough. Especially now that he's injured, and the injury is going to take some time to heal based on my understanding of the situation. It just wasn't viable to keep him on the team. It sucks that that's the result. It's an opportunity for sure missed by both parties, I think, if we're being honest. I would expect Théo Pourchaire to drive the car at the Indy GP, and I would expect Callum Ilott to be taking over the reins at the Indianapolis 500. I think Tony Kanaan is still on standby duty if Kyle Larson, for whatever reason, cannot race in the Indianapolis 500.
Why not have Théo Pourchaire for all the races?
So any speculation that Tony Kanaan would take over the 6 car at the 500, I think, don't know, is not going to happen. So, and it makes sense too, because Callum was the driver who ran the car in the April test, so it makes sense from that perspective. But yeah, David Malukas, I don't think he's done an IndyCar. I mean, obviously, if this is, worst case scenario, career-ending injury, that's the only reason he's not going to come back. But certainly, the good news about David is that he does have quite a bit of backing, and certainly Henry Malukas, who is his father, and
that must be a new fish for the
half of the Indy Next Grid, has the means to put together an IndyCar program. I know Henry has looked at the possibility this year of putting together a team, but didn't quite get across the finish line. There were some things kind of outside of their control to do that, to put it together, and certainly maybe it wasn't the right time. But now you look at it, if you're Henry and David Malukas, necessity is calling, I think. And if you've ever thought that it was a good idea to put together a team, maybe now is the time. If David had been recovered and still fired from Arrow McLaren, I think that perhaps the Able Motorsports car would have been an option to get him in the Indianapolis 500 at least. Based on what Kevin Lee was reporting this weekend at Barber, Able Motorsports is RC Anderson or bust, and they still don't have the budget together and we're knocking on the door of May. So fingers crossed we get to 35 cars for the Indianapolis 500, but David Malukas will not be in any one of them going into May or potentially through the rest of the IndyCar season. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one, though. There are some teams where they could expand if the right budget was found. Rahal certainly has the potential to go to 4 cars. They're doing it at the Indianapolis 500. Ed Carpenter Racing potentially could go to 3 cars
New fish for the
if the right
collection.
budget was found. They've done that in the past.
I need more
Dale
items.
Coyne Racing is always looking for money. Maybe a reunion there. There are opportunities if David Malukas wanted to join back in the series this year, or go it on their own, HMD Racing into IndyCar next year, or maybe team up with Prema for 2025. I mean, there's a lot of different opportunities. I don't think David Malukas is done if the health and the desire are still there. And finally, I just wanted to kind of clean up the Joseph Newgarden Team Penske controversy. Put it this way. I think if this had been any team but Penske, and I know that's like stating the obvious, right? But if this has been any team but Penske, this would probably be a closed issue. I mean, certainly you have...
half closed issue. But I would say, because the team owner, it becomes so much bigger.
You would have the long-standing, people yakking or yapping that oh, cheater, pumpkin eater sort of things that are going to come with a controversy like this. But the reason that this is such a big story is
because the owner who owns the stuff.
Necessarily that it was cheating. It's that it's the owner of the series.
Nya Subaru Solterra. Fyrhjulsdriven
Subaru
elbil med all säkerhet som standard.
Don't you let me go tonight. Don't you let me go tonight. Don't you let me go.
Series' team that was under this microscope in a time period where you have entities like Honda have been very vocal, or at least vocal in the past, maybe not so much anymore. That's another story for another day, but very vocal in the past about IndyCar and the direction that the series is going, and then all of a sudden they find out that they had a disadvantage to a Chevy-powered car. That's not good. The team owners are very upset. There was a meeting called with Roger bringing all the team owners into his bus this weekend, and they had a 15-minute meeting, and they aired all of their, well, not all of their grievances, but Roger, addressed the team owners, but like team owners like Michael Andretti, who, by the way, has been very quiet on this issue, at least publicly and directly quoted, has in the past recently said that Roger Penske should sell the series. Well, an incident like this opens Roger up to significant criticism.
True.
And significantly makes him vulnerable to any number of ways that the team owners could implement that kind of a change. The other thing is, going back to the team owners, this charter agreement that's supposedly coming down the line. The team owners want locked-in spots in Indy 500, and this is something that, Penske Entertainment and Roger and Mark Miles have done a great job on doing, at least from a lip service perspective. They have stuck to their guns that they want to have the fastest 33 cars and drivers start the Indianapolis 500. But this puts them in a tough position, because they might have to give the team owners something they want to get them to sign a charter agreement. And what do the team owners want? What do the most vocal team owners want? They want locked-in spots in the Indy 500. So that's concerning. And certainly from a fan base perspective, this involves Joseph Newgarden, who is the Indianapolis 500 winner. Going into May, there's something to be said about all publicity is good publicity, but yeah, difficult position for the sport in a number of different ways. So no, I'm not happy that this happened. I want to talk about racing, and it sucks. And this is something I talked to another IndyCar content creator over the weekend. We were just kind of going back and forth about about this,
new
and
fish for the
he was
collection.
pretty happy that he was getting a lot of views on his stuff about the Joseph Newgarden situation. And I just kind of said, and I didn't think about why I said this or kind of the situation, but I said, yeah, in IndyCar content creation, the highs are really high, but then once you get past the Indy 500, there's pretty much nothing unless there's another controversy. And I didn't really put two and two together in my brain until later, but I thought about that conversation, and it's something that frustrates me about this sport. And I finally was able to nail it on the head, what I didn't like about this. The highs, the only time it seems like people really, really, really care about IndyCar, and IndyCar gets the views that I think the racing product deserves, has nothing to do with the racing or the product or whatever. It's only the drama, and
for the
people don't
collection.
stick around for the rest of it. And I don't know why that is. I can't necessarily explain it right now. Maybe I'll put some more thought into it. But that frustrates me a lot. That the only stuff, you think about the highs.
Maybe the IndyCar isn't that good then. Have you ever thought about that?
The last couple of years, outside the Indy 500, what have gotten views in IndyCar? It's Alex Palou contract drama. It's Honda threatening to pull out of the sport. It's Joseph Newgarden and a cheating scandal. It's not that was a great race. Let's talk about it.
Because it wasn't a great race.
It's controversy. It's drama.
It was a boring race.
And it's press conferences where we're trying to make drivers cry on a podium. That's not really why I'm here. And it's disappointing that the racing product continues to get overshadowed by stuff that has, well, a cheating scandal doesn't have, little to do with racing. It's disappointing that that's the only stuff that spikes the needle.
Oh my god.
That's what I have to say about the Joseph Newgarden controversy.
I almost look. Let's see if I can see the brown. Okay, yeah, you can see the brown. Or else you can be almost an orange fish. Okay, he's done with the IndyCar stuff. And on that he ended with. Maybe IndyCar isn't that good. That's why the views comes only when stuff actually happens in IndyCar. Let's go away with that. Then we place down the last fishes. And while that's happening, let's see what more information we can go on the Penske the fuck is that word? Whatever it is. It's a Penske push to pass problem. Oh shit, we need also sound. Oh shit, and that we also need to do. Let's see. How many fishes do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, 9. So 354 plus 9. Now we can go back.
So in racing, exploiting the grey areas in the rulebook is all part of the show, especially when it's a series where the teams design and build their own cars.
True.
But in other cases, things can be taken too far into the realms of flat-out cheating. And over the course of the time I've been doing videos on this channel, I've looked into the it doesn't say here that I can't stuff, like the double diffuser, the blown diffuser, the F-duct, and other stuff like that. You know, the clever ways around the rulebook exploiting those grey areas. There's also the multitude of cases involving Smokey Unique, where they basically had to say, if Smokey can think it, then don't bother attempting it, whether that's adding a few feet of fuel line to hide fuel or whatever it might be. But in IndyCar currently, there has been a bit of a kerfuffle involving Roger Penske, his Penske team, and the illegal use of computer software on their cars. When it comes to getting the...
Oh shit, it's almost like Benetton with Michael Schumacher in... Yeah, what year can that be? A long time ago.
Fair advantage, Penske is king. The most obvious thing to look at here is back in 1994 when he...
We need to also make this short. 353 minus 1. Then we can go back.
And Illmore exploited a hole in the rulebook for the Indy 500, and they created the Beast, an engine built in a Lockheed Martin Skunk Works style top secret manner, to the point where only a few people knew about the project. As it was, the engine was so good, it utterly destroyed the rest of the field. And Penske is one of the most successful people in motorsport. His IndyCar team has won 237 races, over 100 more than the next most successful team in Chip Ganassi, and he's also won 17 Indy Championships. He's also had success in NASCAR as well, and currently has teams involved in IMSA and the World Endurance Championship. But the one thing that also needs to be considered here is that Penske owns IndyCar. Literally.
I mean, that's just a bad timing. Owns the series and owns a team in the series that done cheated.
He owns the series and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the home of IndyCar's most prestigious event. And because of this, in the last few days, Roger's own series caught his own team cheating.
Oh, fuck me. Where did I place this? God damn it. Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. There was that. Light blue. Wait, was it? So annoying. Cannot misplace something so fast. Oh, well, I will find it.
So all this goes back about a month ago to the first round of the season at St. Petersburg in Florida. At some point during last week, it was announced that Team Penske drivers Scott McLaughlin and Joseph Newgarden were disqualified from the race. The third driver, Will Power, was docked 10 points, and all three drivers were fined $25,000. But the breach that saw them penalised wasn't found until they arrived in Long Beach, so the disqualifications were handed out 45 days after.
Ooh.
That's a long time.
No.
So what happened? It's all to do with the computer system that governs the push-to-pass system that Indy cars are fitted with. The system is very much like the old KERS system on Formula 1 cars or the hybrid systems currently fitted to BTCC cars. You press a button, you get a little bit of a boost. It's used to every road and street course on the IndyCar calendar. But Penske had, according to the Indy Star, modified a couple of lines in the code for the testing of the hybrid engines that are coming to IndyCar in... well, whenever they come in, because they keep getting delayed. And that code had been left in the cars for the first round of the season in St. Petersburg, which allowed McLaughlin, Power and Newgarden the ability to use push-to-pass on the restarts following safety car periods. It should be mentioned here that this shouldn't be possible. It would be like a Formula 1 team being able to use DRS on the first lap. Now, during the course of the race, McLaughlin used push-to-pass for 1.9 seconds during a restart on lap 30, and Newgarden used it for a total of 9 seconds. As a result, it meant that Newgarden was the first disqualified winner in about 30 years. But it goes a little bit further than just the team, because Penske has an interest in Illmore, which handles the Chevrolet engines in IndyCar, which is leading people to believe that Penske knew what it was doing from the start, and was out to...
Oh shit, let's see. Okay. That's... So we have 353 fixtures now. How much would that be? 7. 47. 347. 2,000. Or is 3,000? No, 2,700. So 7, 47, 300 and 2,347 more fishes needed to collect. That's fun.
To intentionally go around the restrictions regarding push-to-pass usage.
We need
Tim
more,
Cindric maintains that the whole thing was an accident, claiming things like, why would we do this when all the data is available to everybody? McLaughlin claims he was pressing the button on restarts out of habit, but the fact remains...
That I would actually say it could be true. That you just click on the stuff just for fun. Without it actually not do anything. But in this case, it actually did something.
Means that both of them, that's McLaughlin and Newgarden, were able to get an extra 50 horsepower of boost when the other teams couldn't. Power, despite having access to the system, didn't use it, while McLaughlin and Newgarden did, so Power was not kicked out of the classified results. It should also be mentioned at this point that it was Penske.
Oh my god, go away, ad. Can we see some skeleton horses? What do... Wait. Oh my god, the snow biome is so close. Okay, I don't want to see the tree. Oh shit, it still adds. Oh my god. Okay, now we can go back to the cheating stuff.
Over all of this. Ron Rosevsky, Penske's managing director, and Tim Cindric, who is the team president, alerted IndyCar to these uses of push to pass that were found in the data. Given the skepticism shown by the other teams and drivers, it could be seen that Penske had done this to try and go, oh no, we found something that shouldn't be on our car because we were doing XYZ with it back in August and forgot to get rid of it.
True.
But it could also be Penske going, look, we messed up. And given Roger owns the series, Penske admitting they messed up keeps up the transparency that Penske isn't bigger than the sport or allowed to do what it wants, because Roger owns it. So now it's a case of trying to convince everybody or otherwise prove that they had forgotten to reset this code, or had they intentionally left it in there going, hey, we can use this wherever we like if we leave it in. Cindric claims it's God's honest truth.
And if they didn't have it in the practice, they would at least won one race with it.
That they didn't intentionally try to fiddle their way through that race. With regards to McLaughlin saying he was pressing the button out of habit, it was found in previous races that he had been pressing the button where he wouldn't have got a return on the button pressing 7 times, while Newgarden did it 29 times. Meanwhile, at Barber Motorsport Park in Alabama this...
I mean, that sounds like facts that they click and stuff without it doing anything.
Weekend, the other team bosses converged on Penske's motorhome to try and make head or tail of what was going on. Penske himself was on a flight back from Imola where his Porsche WEC cars had been racing when he was called about the infringement and what was going on, so he had to contact Cindric to find out what the hell was happening. Bobby Rahal said, to me, one of the big questions is Chevy had to have known about it. I think there's a lot of other people that need to answer questions that aren't necessarily in the Penske organisation. How did it get that far, and how did it happen? But I don't believe for a moment that Roger knew of it.
It's probably the most interesting stuff. How did this happen? As a lot of, I mean, who came with the idea first? And why did everyone accepted it?
Let alone condoned it or approved of it, and I really do believe he's very embarrassed. I feel bad for Roger. I don't think anybody has ever accused him of trying to break the rules, particularly with the role he's in now, where he owns the series. I think he's very bothered by it, and I think the team put Roger in a bad position. And this seems to be shared by the other team bosses. The general consensus is that Roger himself didn't know anything about what was going on, and all this was done without authorization, while the team bosses and the other drivers don't seem that convinced about Newgarden and McLaughlin's excuses. While some bosses are happy that Roger didn't know anything about what was going on and is genuinely embarrassed about what happened, it's Cindric, McLaughlin and Newgarden they're looking at. Because one of the things Newgarden had said was, "Oh, I thought they changed the rules in the off-season so we can use push to pass."
I mean, that's probably some copium. But it still can be somewhat true.
Some restarts, which has upset a few people. Gavin Ward,
no
who
more
works for
lightning strikes.
McLaren, was
Let's go
quite
back.
vocal about Newgarden's claims on the holes he was finding in them. I've been on a lot of different timing stands on several different IndyCar teams, and every single time
That's
a
what
driver presses the over...
Big lightning strike. Do we have some luck? Or it was just a normal lightning strike. Well, really close.
overtake button, somebody is on the intercom on that stand saying, "on the button." It's a flag on everybody's telemetry. Everyone knows when you're using OT. You're telling me none of them realised that was not in the rules. You're telling me everyone had the wrong read of it. But it's the bigger picture that needs to be considered here. While IndyCar is in the process of testing these new hybrid engines, Honda's status in the sport is under consideration. They're worried about escalating costs, and this issue will be of great concern to them. Their current agreement with IndyCar expires at the end of 2026, and this situation is not going to help matters. Would Honda want to be in a sport where this has happened? And what makes it worse is, it's the team owned by the owner of the sport that's done it. That's going to be something that will be considered at the top level. But Honda themselves aren't exempt from being associated with some iffy behaviour, because the 2023 Daytona 24 winning Meyer Shank Racing Acura was...
Should that actually really happen? They are flying on the water, true. Let's see, if I stay on the... Will it still fly down? This is so weird. No! That's one way to deal with them, easily.
Stripped of the points, prize money, and fined $50,000 for fiddling tyre pressure data. As such, Wayne Taylor Racing now runs the Acura cars in IMSA. But with all the comments made from McLaughlin and Newgarden over the last few days or so, it's up in the air as to whether they knew. Maybe some extra investigation into this is required to make sure that the whole process is transparent and that everybody is on the same page.
I feel like if the new... Man, they should look... How often do they press the button per season? Or every race in a season? Because it could be, if they're new, they try to click less often to make sure people doesn't see it. But they can also have another effect that normal races you click it more often. So by not clicking it often, it look weird in the stats.
The other team bosses don't seem to think that McLaughlin and Newgarden are telling the whole truth, and there are some holes in their arguments that are going to make things worse sooner or later.
True.
Which is annoying, because I like both of them. I've liked McLaughlin since his V8 supercar days.
I don't.
And actually, it's not the first time that McLaughlin in a Penske...
Newgarden ruined some amazing thing Marcus Ericsson could have done last year. a back-to-back win in 500, so no, Nugget is on my enemy list.
Branded car has been at the centre of something a bit iffy. When he won the Bathurst 1000 a few years ago, there was a scandal surrounding whether his teammate Fabian Coulthard had intentionally backed up the field behind the safety car to make sure that Scotty got a free pit stop. And this is something that Vauxhall fans have been quick to mention on his statements regarding all of this. Meanwhile, for Penske, it's going to be a mess that he's going to have to mop up. He's the series owner and it's his own team that's been found to have been cheating. So it's a case of, what does he do now? Does he have some meetings within the team, and how does he fix the hit that Indycar will have taken to its reputation? It will soon enough blow over because Indycar isn't the worldwide sport that Formula 1 is, so it will be able to move on. But when you've got a sport trying to grow and get bigger and move up in the commercial pecking order, it's certainly not a good look. I personally don't think Roger would risk cheating, given that he is the owner of quite literally everything in IndyCar, and because of that, he has to keep everybody on side. Anything that could be considered moving things in the sandpit that will suit him and make him and only him more successful at the expense of the other teams is just going to piss everybody off. And that could have bigger repercussions in the long term. See also Bernie Eccleston when he was the owner of the Brabham team and also the head of FOCA. He voluntarily withdrew that fan car to keep the other privateer teams on his side. And if I was Roger, I would be quite embarrassed. This situation does make it look like he is taking the piss, in a sort of, I own this series, I can do what I want kind of thing. So it's good to see that the other owners can see it from that, why would he? He's the series owner, he can't be seen to be doing that type of stuff. When Roger took over the whole sport, there must have been that scepticism from the other team bosses that he could easily bend things to suit him, much like...
And then the team did, so...
when Jean Todt became the president of the FIA. So that's why I think that Roger having some words with his team and getting all that in order would be good, as a gesture of good faith to basically say to the other team bosses, look, I've spoken to Austin, I've spoken to this guy, and that guy, and those guys in that department, basically saying, look, you do this again, you're all gone. We probably haven't seen the end of it, but at the same time, it's not something that's going to be a massive worldwide scandal like Spygate was or something. So then, this has been a thing that's happened in the world of motorsport.
Is it because nobody cares about the Indycar? Maybe?
And this has been my look at that thing. You haven't seen my face in this video because I'm ill AF right now, so apologies if this video has been more over the place than usual, but the algorithm waits for no man or no thing. So if you've been given some food for thought, then do like this video, and for more from this channel, subscribe and get that bell on so you never miss out on it.
Yeah, something I would say, some Newgarden in his really long and unnecessary long and weirdly long statement video, that he mentioned something that you can see when you click the button it activates or something. I mean, doesn't that make so you should have known it's doing something that it shouldn't do? If you're not 100% coping that the new rules is like it should be. But yeah.
Anything else to do around here? Massive thanks as ever to the rad lads at Patreon for the continued support. And if you want to help out at a more personal level, then a link to Patreon is in the description, along with links to Discord, socials, and other bits and bobs you might want or need to know. Well, there's memberships and super thanks if those float your boat. So until next time, I've been Aidan Millward. Have a great day wherever you are, and goodbye.
Go away. Yeah, the last thing for today. Let's see, tomorrow will be probably more Miami stuff in Formula 1. I mean, it's some Alex Albon and Logan Sargent stuff for Williams. And then we have a Fun Nation podcast with Tom Clarkson, the greatest man that have ever lived. Probably not. Yeah, move out. Wait, the fuck? Is it an iron golem here? Oh, there we have one. Whoops. Something happened. Yeah. So, well, I have no more iron. Or I have some way. Let's see, yeah. And when I say I don't have iron, I mean I don't have any iron that I want to use. So I need to kill some iron golems so I can make more buckets for the collection of the fishes. But that I will do offline. So tomorrow we will have more buckets to collect. Or getting closer to this number. And what did we have? We had let's see, 353. And if we go back, it will take some time to get all these different fishes. Nope, that didn't work. Can I zoom in some fun way? Bing. Nope. Okay, but well, that's that.